surface at Warner Park. Affy Fletcher, the captain, Janelia Glasgow, Malika Edwards, Kimon Homer, Ernisha Fontaine. She comes in today in place of Amaya Gilbert. And Amaya Marcelin, Zeta James, Pearl Etienne, Narissa Crafton, Kiana Joseph, and Tracy Brand. That makes up the 11 for the Windward Islands. And then in terms of the Leeward Islands, well, playing is Sanelda Willett, the captain, Amanda Edwards, Therese Parker, Janison Richards, Cheyenne Moses, Roselle Lieberd, Melissa Clark, Kimberly Anthony, Tonya Martin, Davronique Maynard, and Divya Saxena. That's the 11 for the Leeward Islands.
All right, so the players are on the field, the two openers for the Leewards, they are in the middle as well, and it seems as though it will be Melissa Clark who will be facing up for the Leewards, and it will be Jamila Glasgow who will be bowling from the media center, and she'll be opening the attack for the Windward Islands as she did yesterday, or Monday, sorry, against the Guyanese team when they won that encounter quite convincingly by some 9 wickets, and we saw a very good knock by the captain of the Windwards team, that's Affy Fletcher. She batted well, and also when she bowled, she got a couple of wickets as well. So Leewards would want to do a much better performance here against the Windwards, so I'm sure the Windwards will be bubbling with confidence after that convincing victory. So far we have a slip, there's a third man, there is a gully, cover point, extra cover, and a mid-off. On the onside we have a fine leg mid-wicket and a mid-on. So it's going to be Jamila Glasgow from the media center end, and she'll be going in to bowl to Melissa Clark. She goes over the wicket, bowls to Clark outside the off stump. She watches it go through to be taken behind by the keeper. So first delivery outside the off stump, and the batsman just watches it go through.
One thing you can expect is that ball to be moving quite early in the morning here at Warner Park for this 10 o'clock start. Just a bit of moisture as well in the surface, and Affy Fletcher did talk about the fact that they're hoping to use that early moisture here.
As Glasgow from the media center end over the wicket, bowls to Clark right up. She's taking on a paddle out of peel out. She's bowled. As a matter of fact, a ball pitched up, and she was looking to turn it into the onside. She missed it, and she has been bowled. And the Leewards, they have lost the important wicket of Melissa Clark, bowled by Glasgow for a duck.
Yeah, an absolutely fantastic delivery there. What you can probably consider the perfect start for the Windward Islands. And Affy Fletcher did say you want to use the conditions quite early on this occasion. Just a touch straighter and a bit of a late away movement. The undoing of Clark. What you have to say is a fantastic start for Glasgow and a fantastic start for the Windward Islands. The first wicket goes down. It's Clark. She goes for naught. It's none for one.
An excellent delivery from Glasgow, and I thought that Clark was looking to play into the onside, and as you indicated, a bit of movement, and she missed it, and she was bowled. And Melissa Clark is one of the players that the Leewards, I'm sure, have been hoping would have been in the middle for some time to make some runs. She got to 20 in the game versus Jamaica, but this time around she has been dismissed in the first over. And as the Windward did against the Guyanese, I think they would have gotten a wicket in the first over, and now they have done the same thing here against the Leewards. So Leewards certainly will be up against it, because as I indicated, Melissa is one of the players in the team that they have been or will be looking to make some runs, and if she has been dismissed so early, it means it will be additional pressure for the other players.
Yeah, certainly a lot of additional pressure, and I guess it's situations like this that you want players to step up in, because it's cricket and a wicket can fall quite early. You would really want to see somebody come to the crease now and look to apply themselves. Obviously, as I mentioned, just a bit of moisture still in the surface, some early movement. It's just maybe a case of looking to play maybe a little tentative at the start.
Gonna take a mark?
As Glasgow will go into bowl to the new batter, and she is Divya Saxena, as Glasgow from the media center end over the wicket. Ball to Saxena right up. She's coming forward and driving, pushed it down to mid-on, came down to the fielder at mid-on, and there is no chance of a run. So the Windwards, they're off to the perfect start, getting a wicket in the first over, and that's Crafton. She's at mid-on, and at mid-off we have Marcelin. So it's going to be Glasgow from the media center end over the wicket, ball to Saxena outside the off stump. Is coming forward, guiding it down into the offside, down towards the cover point area. It is fielded and there is no chance of a run. So a very good start for the Windwards after winning the toss and inserting the Leewards. The Leewards would have lost their first wicket, and the pitch seemed to have a bit of grass on it.
Yeah, it looks a quite lively surface. It is similar to the surface that would have been used for Barbados versus Trinidad and Tobago, which is just to the right of the one that we're currently playing on.
As goes to the batter, that she on the onside plays it down towards the mid-wicket area. There is no chance of a run, so the Leewards will have to try and consolidate. But as I would have indicated, the Windwards would have had an excellent outing against Guyana, and they are hoping to do likewise here against the Leewards, and they would have made the perfect start, getting the wicket of Melissa Clark, bowled in the first over for a duck, as Glasgow from the media centre end goes over the wicket, bowls to Sazina, getting deliveries coming forward, pushing it back down the strip, leaving the bat in the air, but dropping well short and to the right of the bowler, pushed it down to mid-on to bring up the end of the over, end of a maiden over, or there was 1 run from the over. So at the end of the first over, the Leewards, they are none for one, as a matter of fact.
Certainly exactly what Afi Fletcher would have wanted after winning the toss here in the beautiful sunshine of St. Kitts and Nevis. You always want bowlers to bowl in partnerships or bowl in tandem, so it'd be important for them to follow up on this to keep that pressure on, especially given that in terms of the batting for the Leeward Islands, it wasn't necessarily the best for them yesterday. So a lot of work for the Leeward Islands to do here today, coming off of the result in round number 1.
So it will be Etienne who will be opening the attack as she did at the Connery Sporting Complex. She'll be bowling to the other opening batsman for the Leewards as Davonique Maynard. And in the first game we saw Marcelin, she was keeping wicket for the Windwards. In this game, Fontaine, who has come in, she is the wicket keeper as Etienne comes up from the far end, bowls to Maynard. Maynard is coming forward, ball leaving the bat in the air, going down towards the back of the point area, where it is fielded by Zeta James, and there is no chance of a run. So Leewards, they have lost an early wicket in the first over. We saw Melissa Clark being bowled for a duck by Glasgow as Etienne comes up in bright sunshine from the far end, over the wicket, bowls to Miller on the leg stump, looking to turn around the corner, misses. Wide has been signalled by the umpire at the far end. 2 umpires for this encounter. We have Caroline Brown and Ryan Banweir are wary. So extras is on 1, and the Leewards are 1 for 1 in over number 2. So it's Etienne from the far end coming into bowl to Maynard. She comes over the wicket, bowls to Maynard. Maynard is getting a good business study up top, taken behind, other piece out, caught behind. And Maynard has been dismissed, and the Leewards are off to the worst possible start. They have lost their second wicket. They are 2 wickets down for 1 run. Maynard has been dismissed, caught at the wicket of Etienne for a duck.
Yeah, you certainly couldn't paint a better picture for the Windward Islands at the moment. In terms of the lines and lengths that are hitting, they're absolutely spot on, and they're reaping the rewards for it. The results that they would have hoped for after winning the toss on that particular occasion. Maynard just guilty maybe of pushing away from the body ever so slightly. It takes an edge, an easy catch in the end for the keeper. So 2 wickets down. Maynard, she goes without troubling the scores as well. It's 1 for 2.
So they're in lots of trouble, and the new batsman is a batter. He's the captain, Sanel de Willett. I don't think she got amongst the runs in the first game, and certainly has come out under pressure here at Warner Park. We're only in the second over, and the Leewards, they have lost 2 wickets, so they are 2 wickets down for 1 run. And Captain Willett will have to play a captain's knock if the Leewards have to put up a substantial total or a competitive total on the scoreboard. So Windwards continuing the good performance that they started at Connery, as Etienne comes over the wicket, bowls to Willett. Willett is coming forward, outer edge found, dropping just in front of the fielder at first slip, going down towards third man for a single, so he's off the mark, but a good delivery. She played at it. He came from the outer portion of the bat, and the fielder at slip was moving away to her right, the ball dropping just in front of her, and it went down to third man for a single. So Sanello Willett is off the mark. She's on 1. It is 2 for 2 here at Warner Park.
Yeah, once again, though, Sanello Willett guilty of doing exactly what Maynard did there and push away from the body. There's still a bit of movement, or rather you expect there to be movement because it is a new ball, and it's just going slightly away from the right-handers at the moment.
So Sazina faces up to Etienne, getting a delivery, working it down towards fine leg. She will get an easy single. So Sazina is off the mark, just marshalling down at fine leg. So the total moves on by 1 to 3. So 3 for 2 in over number 2 here at Warner Park.
It's kind of similar in terms of how things went for Trinidad here in round number 1.
As Etienne comes up from the far end, bowls to Willett. Willett is coming easily forward, pushed it down into the onside. The fielder coming in from the mid-wicket area, she picks up, and there is no chance of a run. So Leewards will hope that these two can put on a good partnership. The Windwards, on the other hand, will be looking to continue to pick up wickets. They have already gotten 2 as Etienne comes up from the far end, bowls to Willett outside the off stump. She's this time playing inside the line of a delivery, making some height, a little bit of pace as well to bring up the end of another successful over for the Windwards. At the end of over number 2, the Leewards inserted by Windwards, they are 3 for 2.
The pressure is on for them, but the thing that we know about 50 over cricket is that there's time in the game, and as such, I mentioned that it's similar to how things went for Trinidad and Tobago Red Force Divas, in the sense that after 10, Trinidad and Tobago found themselves at 22 for 2 versus Barbados, and with 2 wickets already down. Obviously, you might tell yourself that could be a similar story for Leewards, but that is not to be a problem really and truly if they can actually weather this early storm and ensure that they don't lose any more wickets within this power play, this first power play, and from there then start to build the innings. So even if the runs aren't flowing, ensure that no more wickets fall for them.
So Glasgow goes over the wicket, ball to Sazina, getting a good delivery on the off stump. She's in behind it, push it down on the onside of the strip, but the bowler moves around to her right. She picks up, and the total remains on 3 for 2. The 2 openers have been dismissed. Melissa Clark bowled in the first over by Glasgow for a duck, and then Etienne picking up the wicket of Maynard, caught the wicket for a duck, as Glasgow will continue from this immediate centre end. Goes over the wicket, bowls to Sazina, gets the ball right up, coming forward, working into the onside, goes through for the single. The fielder at mid-on, moving across to her right, couldn't stop the run, and the batsman came through for a single, so 1 more to the total. It has gone on to 4, so Sazina with a single, she has gone on to 2. And the captain, Sanildo Willett, who did not trouble the scorers in the first encounter, would want to make some runs here for her team. She's the captain and certainly would like to play a captain's innings, so she will face it up to Glasgow from the media centre end. Is a slip, a gully, a third man, cover point, extra cover, and a mid-off. As Glasgow over the wicket, balls to Willett outside the off-stump, getting a good delivery. She's in behind it, punching it down towards mid-off, where Marcelin is in the way, she feels, prevents any possibility of a run. So as the captain of the Leewards team, you wanted to do good. As the captain, she would want to make some runs. And she's the daughter of the first player from the Leewards to represent the West Indies, Elcomido Willett. As Glasgow goes over the wicket, balls to Willett, we get the ball right up, coming forward and driving nicely, goes down to cover, and it is fielded, and there is no chance of run, so the total remains on 4 for 2 in over number 3 here at Warner Park. And Windwards will want to continue to keep the pressure on the Leewards team. And that's Homer is in the cover as Glasgow goes over the wicket, balls to Willett, wide outside the off stump, should be signaled by the umpire. Yes, wide has been signaled, a wide delivery outside the off stump, and so wide has been signaled, so extras moves on by 1 and a total 5 for 2. So Glasgow will try once more from this media centre end. And she'll be going in to bowl to the captain of the Leewards team as Glasgow goes over the wicket. Balls to Willett, right up is coming forward and driving, maybe just playing inside the line of a delivery, taken behind by the keeper. And total remains on 5 5 for 2. So if you join us just for the first time, Leewards lost the wicket in the first and the second over. Both openers have been dismissed for a duck, as Glasgow got the wicket of Clark. She'll be going in now to bowl to the captain of the Leewards team. Over the wicket, bowls to Willett outside the off stump. She watches it go through to be taken behind by the keeper to bring up the end of the over. And at the end of it, Leewards inserted by the Windwards. They are 5 for 2 after 3 overs.
Yeah, just looking at the approach currently of the skipper in Sineldo Willett. It's a good approach in terms of just letting those balls go by outside of the off stump at the moment. As I mentioned, just a case of weathering this early storm. Obviously, you do expect that the Windwards coming off of a win, picking up 2 wickets, will be full of steam and coming at them. And 2 wickets have fallen. All right, so just a case of just getting through this early period for them.
So Etienne will be coming in to bowl to the batsman over the wicket. Bowls to the outside the off stump, looking to play at it, just pulling the bat inside the line of that delivery to be taken behind by the keeper. Another good delivery, making some movement outside the off stump. And the batsman thought about playing, and then she pulled her bat inside the line. That's Zina. So she's on 2. Sanello Willett, she is on 1 as Etienne comes up from the far end over the wicket. Ball is outside the stump. She's tugging it into the onside. Beats the fielder down at mid-on. Will go into the boundary for 4. A ball pitched up on the off stump, and she drove it through mid-on. The fielder at mid-on was diving away to her right. Couldn't stop it. It has gone into the boundary for 4. And with that boundary, the Leewards, they have progressed to 9 for 2.
Yeah, the first time that Etienne has missed her length, you would have to say, across this 1.2 overs that she's bowled so far, and capitalizing on it. Saxena just throwing the hands at it just because of the fact that it was over-pitched, and collects just reward for that.
So Etienne will want to get back to the good length as she comes up from the far end over the wicket. Ball to Saxena outside the off stump. Short delivery, looking to swing to the onside. Not a good shot. It was outside the off stump, and she was looking to heave it somewhere into the onside. Missed it and taken behind by the keeper.
Yeah, probably could have looked at the offside on that particular occasion, and probably even left it, given that it wasn't necessarily as wide outside the off stump as probably thought it could have been.
So Etienne will try once more from the Lozak Road end, coming into bowl to Saxena. Comes up bowl to Saxena outside the off stump. She's playing at it and maybe just pulling the bat inside the line at the last minute. But another good delivery. Touchdown just on about the off stump and moving away from the batsman. She was playing at it and taken behind by the keeper. Another good delivery there by Etienne.
It was interesting to note at the moment in terms of how Divya Saxena is looking to play these swinging balls. She's just taking 1 or 2 steps outside of the crease, looking to negate the movement from Etienne.
Comes up balls to Saxena, full delivery on the leg stump. She's swinging it down through a long leg for 4. Bad delivery. She came across the stump and she swung it through or down to long leg into the boundary for the second 4 of the over. And with that boundary, the total has gone on to 13.
Yeah, certainly fantastic thinking cricket from Saxena. As I mentioned just before that delivery, taking 1 or 2 steps out of her crease. Now, what that does is just ask the bowler to change up the lengths that they're bowling, can't exactly hit the same areas. Etienne on occasion missing the length and put away to the boundary.
So 13 for 2 we're in over number 4 as Etienne comes up from the far end over the wicket. Ball to Saxena. Short delivery, she in behind it, pushed it back on the strip on the onside. Thought about a single, but the bowler came around quickly and prevented any possibility of a run to bring up the end of the over in which we saw 2 boundaries struck by Saxena. And at the end of it, the Leewards 13 for 2 after 5.
Yeah, very productive over for the Leeward Islands. They're 8 runs coming off it, and it was simply because of the adjustment in terms of the batting stance, or rather the batting area of Saxena. Previously, she was batting inside of her crease for that particular over, just taking 2 steps down, or maybe 1.5 down in terms of where she started in terms of her stance. And what that did is that it forced Etienne to have to kind of pull back her length a bit, and because of that, on one occasion overpitched, on the other got it entirely wrong with a full toss.
So Glasgow will start over number 5 from this the media centre end. She goes over the wicket to bowl to Saxena, getting the delivery. She's coming forward, push it back down the strip. That's the captain, Sanello, facing up. Push it down to mid-on, and there is no chance of a run. So the fielder at mid-on is Narisa Crafton. So we have a slip. There's a third man, and there's a point, a cover. and a mid-off as Glasgow from the media centre end runs away from us, goes over the wicket, bowls to Willett, gets the ball right up, coming forward and driving, gets it down to Crofton at mid-on, not timing it, and Crofton coming across to her left fields and prevent any possibility of a run. We have all of 50 overs, so there is no need for Willett to rush it, because I think in the match against Jamaica they didn't bat 30 overs, so she would need to put her head down and see how long she can bat here for the Leewards, as Glasgow from the media centre end over the wicket, bowls to Willett, right up Willett, coming forward and driving, but on the strip the bowler fields to her own bowling, and there is no chance of a run. So lots of overs to bat, Manning.
Yeah, I think that's actually something that all the teams were guilty of in round number one. Just the simple fact of not batting out the overs, giving themselves a chance to see what type of total they could put on the board at the end of it. And that certainly should be one of the objectives for the Leeward Islands, having been inserted in batting first, to bat those 300 balls.
Glasgow over the wicket, bowls to Willett outside the off stump, flashing at it, misses, taken behind by the keeper a bit wide. She saw an opportunity to go after it and she went after it, but she missed it. Unfortunately for her, it didn't take the edge.
Yeah, you would have to say in the end, though, a good offer from her. One, in terms of the fact that it was back of a length. Two, it was wide. And looking into the offside gap as well, she just certainly told herself that that is some area that she can maybe capitalise on.
As Glasgow goes over the wicket, balls to Willett, we get a delivery much closer outside the off stump. This time she's playing inside the line of a delivery, making some height on the off stump as well, and taken behind by the keeper. So a much closer delivery, and the batsman just playing inside the line and allowed it to go through, to be taken behind by the keeper. So with so many overs to bat, the batsmen are looking to bat as long as possible, and 50 overs, 300 balls. As an opener, or coming at number 3, you want to bat as many overs as possible. As Glasgow over the wicket, balls to Willett. Willett gets a delivery offside the off stump, a bit close as well. She's not going to be interested. She just wanted to go through, to be taken behind by the keeper. So Willett seemed to want to play a long innings here for the Leewards.
Yeah, coming on the next over, it'll be interesting to see if the big keeper in Fontaine makes an adjustment in terms of maybe going up to the stump. As we see the flag of St. Kitts and Nevis just fluttering in the wind there. A nice breezy day almost, but still hot out there, certainly quite hot, and that's another factor in terms of the fitness levels that will be tested out here today given the heat. But it'll be interesting if at any stage Fontaine opts to take a couple steps up and goes up to the stump to kind of keep Saxena in her crease, which means that then Etienne could kind of just get back to the lengths that she bowled in the first over.
As Etienne comes up from the far end, comes up, bowls to Saxena, she's in behind it, short delivery, pushed it down into the offside, and Crofton is in the way, she feels, prevents any possibility of a run. So the Leewards would have lost 2 wickets, and at the start of over number 6 being bowled by Etienne. Saxena, she's on 10, Willett is on 1, as Etienne comes over the wicket, ball to Saxena, she's coming across the stump, working into the onside, goes down towards mid-wicket, and there is no chance of a run. Just thought about the run, and the fielder Tracy Byron at mid-wicket came in and prevented any possibility of a single. So Etienne will try once more from the far end, coming in to bowl to Saxena, as Etienne over the wicket, ball to Saxena, getting a delivery on the stump, just coming forward, pushing to the onside, we get a single, as the fielder was a bit deep at mid-on and went to the left of the fielder at mid-wicket, so they had enough time to come through, as the fielder from mid-wicket, that's Byron, had to move across to her left. In the meantime, the ladies crossed through for a single. Yeah,
fantastic early call there. Rotation of the strike will be key here as well for the Leeward Islands. I think that it will be interesting, and hence why I mentioned in terms of the keeper coming up, because I think that's the actual reason that Alison Gordon for Barbados was quite successful, because Knight, the keeper for Barbados, stood up to the stumps and allowed her bowler just hit a consistent length, keep the batters inside the crease. We see now Sineldo Willett batting inside of her crease for Etienne.
Etienne over the wicket, balls to Willett. Willett's coming forward, driving in the air. Is she out? Maybe. Yes, she's out. A soft dismissal, and Willett just came forward, pushed it back, the ball lobbing in the air. Thought it might have bounced, but it went straight back to the bowler to her right, and she took a casual catch, and the captain of the Leewards has been dismissed. Leewards now, they are 14 for 3.
Yeah, a big blow for them. And I think, funny enough, it goes back to just the contact points that I was kind of alluding to before, in terms of the fact that Saxena 1-2 steps out of the crease, that would have been a full toss for her. In the case now of Willett batting inside the crease, the ball has a bit more time to move, and because of that additional late movement, probably turning the bat face a little too early as well, offering an easy catch in the end. And well, Etienne, she picks up another further trouble for them. It's 14 for 3.
So the new batsman for the Leewards, or the new batter for the Leewards, looks like the wicketkeeper Therese Parker. She has come in at a time when the Leewards are tottering at 14 for 3. Well, it's just out, ball and caught by Etienne. I thought the ball probably held up a bit in the pitch as well, because she came, I thought she played the shot too early, and she wasn't there, and the ball just lobbing back to the bowler for an easy catch.
Yeah, certainly, pitch certainly will not be coming on just yet in the early stages of the morning. Probably might take an hour, just more than an hour, to start to dry out for the ball to really come on to the bat, to start playing a couple more of those full-blooded drives down the rung. But certainly you want to always show the full face of the bat to start things with, and because, as I mentioned, just turning maybe that bat face slightly early, as you mentioned also, that was the undoing there of the skipper.
So the new batter is Therese Parker. She's left-handed. The left-handed wicketkeeper batsman is Etienne. Will be coming in from the far end. All is not well, so umpire has stopped her, so she will have to go back to the top of the mark. Captain Afi Fletcher, she's at first slip, and we have Joseph, Akiana Joseph, she's in the gully. We have a cover point, extra cover, and a mid-off as Etienne comes up from the far end over the wicket. Goes to Parker, short, wide delivery on the onside. Should be signaled by the umpire. Was short and wide going down the onside. Extras moves on by 1, and with that extra, the total has gone on to 15 for 3. And we are in over number 6. So the Leewards certainly are tottering.
Yeah, this is where Etienne will have to make that adjustment, and probably getting it wrong there just because of the fact that Parker is a left-handed batter, so she will have to very quickly just make that adjustment now, get that ball to probably go across her a bit.
Over the wicket balls to Parker. Parker's coming forward, taking the pad. Lord appeal umpires shaking her head in the negative as the ball went down towards the fine leg area, and a no signal coming from the umpire. So obviously she got a bit of baton to it, and the bowler Etienne was screaming the appeal at the umpire. And the ladies cross through for a single, so Park is off the mark, and the total has gone to 16 for 3.
Yeah, bat probably saving her on that occasion. As I mentioned, just looking to get that ball to go across her, and then the movement that brings it back towards those pads. Good stuff from her.
Etienne over the wicket, ball to Saxena, getting a shot. He was swinging in the air over mid-wicket. It's going down towards the boundary, and it will go into the boundary just about now for 4. Short delivery. She came across her stumps, and she swung it over mid-wicket, down towards the boundary for 4 to bring up the end of over number 6. It is 20 for 3 wickets.
Yeah, fantastic batting from Saxena, and I just think it's always just because of the fact that she's the only batter that has looked to go down towards the bowler. 2 wickets there for Etienne, the other wicket going to Glasgow so far. But yeah, I just think maybe changing up 1 or 2 things, as you realize that every delivery that has been bowled to Saxena since she's been on strike has been fractionally short of 11. That's just because of the adjustment that she's made in terms of taking that 1 or 2 strides down the wicket, and maybe a couple more batters from Leewards can maybe take a hint from that in terms of the approach currently at the start to kind of negate the movement on offer. And anytime the bowler has to pitch back the ball, it means that in terms of the swing factor, you kind of nullify that almost.
So Etienne has bowled 3 overs, 2 for 18, and Glasgow will continue from the media centre end. She has also bowled 3 overs. She has picked up 1 wicket. She would have gotten the wicket of Clark. So she will be going now to bowl to the left-handed Parker. Parker is on 1. And Saxena, she's on 15. Over the wicket ball. So Parker gets a delivery. She's taking on the pad, load appeal a bit high from this vantage point. And the umpire is not going to be interested, and probably might have come from the glove onto the thigh pad as well. But the appeal went up, and the umpire is uninterested.
Yeah, height certainly the question there. But certainly a fantastic start for her. The first delivery she's bowling to the left-hander. You probably just tell yourself maybe if she could get it just a touch fuller with that movement coming back into her, that the LBW comes into play a lot more for her.
So Glasgow will turn at this immediate centre end, runs away from us, goes over the wicket, balls to Parker. Parker getting another good delivery on the centre leg stump. Just turn it into the onside, goes down towards the forward square area where Byron came in. She and there is no chance of a run. So Leewards certainly struggling. Weighing over number 7, and they're scoring at 3.16 runs per over. Projected score from here on in 158 as Glasgow from the media centre end over the wicket. Balls to Parker. Parker getting a delivery in the air, caught in the gully, and there was Parker just coming casually forward. The ball made some height, probably came from the shoulder of the bat, and just lobbing in the air, going down towards the gully area where Akina Joseph taking the catch, and the Leewards are in dire straits at Warner Park. They are 20 for 4.
Well, Parker on that occasion caught on the crease, and you usually find yourself in problems when you're in what we consider that double-minded phase, whereas you're neither forward or back to that delivery. Hands unable to go anywhere. Ball just with a bit of movement coming back onto it, hitting high on it as well, and the easy catch going into the gully. So Parker, she has to go for 1. It's even more trouble for the Leeward Islands. They are 20 for 4.
Well, the new batter is Jennison Richards, and she will have to work a miracle for the Leewards, because they, in the first game against Jamaica, I think they were 70 out for 3, and they were dismissed for 120. Now they are 20 for 4. Let us see what total they can put together here at Warner Park. So they have lost some 4 wickets, and the decision to insert the Leewards is certainly paying off for the Windwards. 20 for 4. So it's going to be Glasgow. Will continue from the media centre end, and she'll be bowling to the new batsman Jennison Richards as Glasgow goes over the wicket. Bowls to Richards, gets a delivery on the stump. She's coming inside of it, looking to work it into the onside, gets it down towards mid-wicket, where Byron moving across to her left. She fields and prevents any possibility of a run. So 20 for 4 spells disaster for the Leewards.
Yeah, it spells disaster, but still there's a lot of time in this match, and if they could just get through this early period, get through the first 10, the first 15, regardless of whatever the total is, just ensure that no more wickets fall, then they could probably do something later on.
Glasgow over the wicket, bowls to Jennison Richards onto the front foot, pushed it down into the offside, and the fielder came in from extra cover, from the cover region. She feels prevents any possibility of a run, so pressure certainly is on the Leewards players, and they certainly are up against it, Leewards. Homer, she's in the cover as Glasgow goes over the wicket. Balls to Richards, getting the outside the off stump, coming forward, guiding it down to the gully area where Joseph moving across quickly to her right, feels well and prevents any possibility of a run. So at the end of this over, the total after some 7 overs, Leewards batting first, inserted by Windwards, they are 20 for 4.
Well, in terms of how things have progressed, you would have to say that it was the correct decision at the toss for Afi Fletcher to decide to bowl on this surface. Funny enough, Sanelda Willett did say that had she wanted toss, she would have opted to bowl as well. But using the conditions, and that's what you want from your bowlers at the start, because it's all fine and dandy to say that the conditions are there, but you have to use them as well. And they put the ball in the right area. They've bowled the right lengths. They've bowled the right lines as well. And in terms of the atmospheric conditions, they've done the rest in terms of that ball movement. So good all around from them. It's going to be Etienne to continue.
So she comes in now from the far end bowls, which is driven up to mid-on by Richards. And in fact, it's Saxena who's facing. She started the innings. In fact, she came in at number 3 for the Leeward Islands, and she's been there for some time now. In fact, she top scored in their first match when she got 30. As this time she's swinging, the ball comes from probably the top portion of the bat. We'll wait for the umpire. There's no signal, so obviously taking high up on the bat and going into the onside. But Joel, as you've rightly been saying, so far these teams, they've not been getting nowhere near close to the 50 overs. In fact, we have had instances of where teams have been out in like 27 overs or even less. It's a 50 over affair, and teams, these women, they should try treat it as a regular cricket match. It is one defended there by Richard. It goes back up the track to the bowler Fields, and there's no run. So I would suggest that, you know, they try and bat as deeply as possible and try and see how much runs they could garner at the end of the innings. So it's Etienne once more. That's a good delivery. It was short, just outside the off stump, pitching just outside the off stump and moving away from the batter Richards. And in the end, she did well not to get an edge on that one.
Yeah, certainly did quite well not to get the edge on it. But batting in her crease, allowing Etienne to kind of just bowl at her, get that movement away. I'll comment on further on in terms of the approach of batting those 50 overs by the teams.
Etienne once more from the far and comes in bowls to Richard. Richard is taking on the paddle, out appeal there from the bowler. Not supported by the umpire at the far end. And she would have to try once more. So it's still 21 for 4. We're in over number 8, coming towards the end of over number 8. And it's a 50 over affair and 4 wickets down already. There's a slipper gully, backward point cover, extra cover. As Etienne comes in our bowls to Richards. Richards is behind it. Stands still for light, drops it into the offside. It goes into the gully region. Joseph Fields and the over comes to an end. 21 for 4 Leewards.
I was having a conversation with one of the assistant coaches of one of the sides playing in this tournament this morning at breakfast, and they were making the point in terms of the fact that a lot of the women have been involved in a lot of these shorter formats recently, especially T20 formats, and they were saying that he's finding that they're struggling to make that adjustment between the shorter format and the longer format. Technically, what this will be the longer format in terms of the 50 over game, and he finds that teams are getting to the 30 over mark and burning out almost because of that factor. So it's just a case of one, seeing how they make those adjustments, but two, in terms of the team talks and team setups, how they're approaching these 10 over spells.
Glasgow goes in a bowls to Saxena. This one is down the onside wide. Signal there by umpire Carolyn Brown. Of course, the other umpire in this match, Ryan Banawari. And this is something I would have mentioned at Connery, Joel, the fact that perhaps the batters, they're still thinking in T20 mode. And so I could understand that statement very well. Punched into the offside up towards cover. That's a very good shot indeed. It's going out towards the cover boundary, crosses the line now. And that's a very good shot there by Saxena. And she picks up a 4. And this will take the score now to 26 for 4. And Saxena will go on to 20. Saxena, of course, would have top scored for the Leewards in the first match they would have played. So she seems to have a bit of form. But certainly, one gets the impression that these teams are very much in T20 mode. And I guess as the tournament progresses, we'll see whether or not there's an improvement in terms of the length of time they start the crease. But Glasgow once more, right arm, over the wicket now, goes in now, bowls to Saxena, who's flicking this one down towards long leg, should get a single. And in fact, they're back for the second run. They really took the first run rather slowly, but in the end, they were able to pick up a single as the ball was picked up down there on the long leg boundary. So it's now 28 for 4, and the 4 wickets going down inside 9 overs. We have not even completed the first 4 players yet, and we already have 4 wickets down. But Saxena, she is fighting. Glasgow, who opened the bowling from this end, goes in her bowls outside the off stump and drives and peels off the outer portion of the bat, and Captain Fletcher there at first slip floored it, and the bad miss there by the Windward Islands.
Well, that's what you need in a great game, a bit of fortune, a bit of luck. I've been enjoying the counter-attack by Saxena at the moment, and it's been working for her, and she's fortunate on the occasion, obviously, with Affy Fletcher putting her down. But Yeah, I'm enjoying how she's approaching the situation at the moment. One, as I mentioned, batting out of her crease, putting the bowlers off the lines and going after the ball. And if they are going to be able to get up to a respectable total, well, they're going to need some bits of luck like that.
So Saxena would have picked up a single with that miss. And the score has gone on to 29 for 4 on win over number 9. Glasgow goes in our balls this time to Richards. Richards gets behind it, defends well, and it goes into the offside where it's picked up there by Kiana Joseph, and there's the run. Of course, the Leeward Islands will later on have to contend with Kiana Joseph, who is a left-arm leg spinner and one of the main strike bowlers for the Windward Islands. So it's Glasgow who goes away from us now. Right arm over the wicket now, bowls right up in the black hole, and Richards is defending, and perhaps she has decided that she's going to play the anchor role, and perhaps this is what is required at this point, someone anchoring and allowing Saxena to do most of the attacking. We are still in the first power play. It's bright sunny here at Warner Park, and Warner Park not the usual lush green that we are accustomed to, as Glasgow goes away from us now. Right arm over the bowls to Richards. Richards is playing a rather ungainly looking pull shot into the onside. It took a high on the bat and it went into the onside, and she was able to pick up a run. So over number 9 comes to an end. It's 30 for 4 at the Leeward Islands.
Yeah, that ball probably not getting up as high probably as she thought on that particular occasion. Richards pulling it from quite low, and that's why the shot kind of looked a little off for her. But a good single to close out that over. You mentioned the prospect and the fact that Kiana Joseph must come in to bowl here, as well as we see the dressing room for the Leeward Islands, and they, I guess, would not be happy with the position that they find themselves in, but they'd be liking the fact that Saxena is out there and putting the pressure back onto the Windwards ever so slightly.
So Etienne continues from the far end, and that's a good delivery. It pitched on about off stump and moved slightly away from the right-handed Richards, and beat the outer portion of the bat and went through to the keeper, Fontaine, who took well. Of course, we saw Marcelin being replaced. He was the wicketkeeper in the first match, and had a very poor showing in the match that Connery with behind the stumps. This time she's beaten once more, and perhaps Richards might have taken the batter at the last moment. We see these slips being strengthened. Kiana Joseph going into more or less a fourth slip position, and there's the captain, Effie Fletcher. She's at first slip. There's a slip, there's a backward point, cover, extra cover. Mid-on, short mid-wicket, and the long legs she's swinging at a delivery outside the off-stump, probably pretty close to being called a wide that time. And Richards missed it completely and threw it to the keeper.
Yeah, I like the good thinking cricket here of Effie Fletcher in terms of employing what is, I guess you consider that fourth slip gully position, but maybe in fact can maybe bring her to maybe a second or third, given the length that Etienne is bowling at the moment and how Richards is just pushing ever so slightly at the ball.
Etienne comes in the bowls, delivery right up in the black hole, right on center stump, and Richards is in behind it, gets it into the onside. The bowler fields to her own bowling, and there's no run. I was saying earlier on, Joel, Warner Park normally lush green, but we have been having some very dry weather, some very hot spells here in St. Kitts, and the outfield rather brownish looking as Etienne bowls to Richards, who defends once more. This time it trickles into the offside. The bowler picks up, comes towards square cover position, short square cover, fields, and there's no run. So, of course, we are hoping that the weather holds fair for the next few days so that all these matches will come to proper completion. Etienne from the far end once more bowls, and this time it stayed square of the wicket on the offside. No run as it's picked up there by Joseph, I think. And there was the run. But at the end of that over, it's Leewards 30 for 4.
Yeah, you just were wondering at some stage when you might see the introduction of Kiana Joseph, who picked up 4 wickets in round number 1. And this is where the problem of losing these early wickets comes into play, because Kiana Joseph was their main wicket taker last time around. That left arm spinner for targeting the pads, just drifting in, and you didn't necessarily want to expose your middle to lower order to Kiana Joseph within the first phase of the game. And I think that is where the real issue might come here now for the Leewards, the fact that they've lost so many wickets to start with, and Kiana Joseph now being introduced as we've just completed the first power play, which means that up to 4 fielders can actually be outside of the circle now. But this now is another test for them, because you would tell yourself that this is a period now you might just look to work on the ball, start to, you know, push things on a bit. But the fact that they've lost 4 means that it's going to be a tricky little period here batting Kiana Joseph for them.
Kiana Joseph, of course, started well against Guyana. She would have picked up some 4 wickets for 18 runs off 10 overs. So she's in good form. What I liked about her, she was not afraid to change the angle of her approach. Tosses up, and this one is turned into the onside for a quick single. And it's 1 more to the score. Tracy Byron was the fielder. He's at short mid-wicket, a bit slow off the mark. And 1 more to the score. It goes on to 31 for 4.
Yeah, you probably think here with the ball still very new that she's not going to look to turn it too much. Just look to go on with that angle and slide off the surface into the pads.
Well, at Connery, she did not turn it very much, but she certainly used the angle as well. As she goes in now and bowls, delivery just on about off stump, pushed into the offside, and that's a quick single taken there by the batters for the Leewards. But it's good positive cricket though. It shows that they're looking to rotate the strike and pick up singles. So 1 more to the score. It's now 32 for 4.
Yeah, that's certainly what you need, especially when the boundaries might not be flowing, just to change things up, ensure the bowler can't just settle into a rhythm to one person.
Joseph bowls outside the off stump, punched into the offside up to cover, and it's fielded there by Homer, and she sends a return and to the keeper's end, and just a single. So 1 more to the score, 33 for 4. As Joseph bowls, tosses up, defended there by Richards. It goes back up the track on the onside, and the bowler fields to her own bowling. So far these two, they have looked comfortable against Joseph. They're looking to rebuild for the Leewards. This one is on the pads, turned into the onside. Airborne for a short period. But in the end, it dropped well short of Tracy Byron, who's that short mid-wicket. And there was no chance of a catch at that time. So it's 33 for 4 in over number 11. Short punched down to a point, knocked down there. And in fact, there's some overthrows there back for second run. Just should have been a single, but in the end, it was James who fumbled a bit there at backward point and sent a return which went past the keeper and into the onside, allowing a second run.
Yeah, 5 runs coming from that over, very productive one for them, looking to show intent in terms of finding the ones, capitalizing on the misfields, capitalizing on the overthrows. Fantastic cricket for them coming out into the first over of the power play.
Well, this is another interesting move here. The captain of West Indies female repute, Effie Fletcher, comes into the attack. So this could be a very testing period now for the Leeward Islands, both spinners for the Windwards being in operation now. Effie Fletcher, who batted very well in the last game against Guyana, played a captain's knock, got 44. She's with the ball now. This one is turned into the onside, and oh my goodness, this is crazy. And in fact, she makes it back. Well, certainly that was a comedy of errors. It was turned down to short backward square. The run never seemed to be on. And there we saw the batter, Richards, charging down for a non-existent single. And the return went to the wrong end. It went to the keeper's end. And by the time it got back to Afi Fletcher, Richards was able to regain the ground. But rather crazy running that time. Tossed up by Fletcher, pushed into the onside. And Fletcher fields to own bowling.
Yeah, I mentioned that they will need some luck to get a total on the board in terms of just a couple mistakes, and that was another one for the Women Islands. The Leewards will be quite happy with that, because had they lost the wicket here, would have been.
So Fletcher bowls this one. An attempted swing into the onside, takes the batter, Saxena on the pad. And real appeal for many of the Windward Island players, and score kept on 35 for 4. We're in over number 12. Fletcher once more tosses up, and this one is swung down to square leg by Saxena, and she gets a single as the return comes in there from Homer, who is just about 3/4 way to the square leg boundary, forward of square, and one more to the score. It's now 36 for 4. And Leewards staging a bit of a recovery here as Fletcher tosses up. This one is in the air as someone is getting on. The catch is well taken there by the fielder coming around from it's Etienne, in fact, who took that catch. It was a well taken catch. He had some distance to cover to her right. The ball was in the air for some time, and Richards was well caught there by Millington, and the Leeward Islands loses their 5th wicket.
Yeah, fantastic catch there for them at a moment that they kind of needed that wicket, because things were starting to progress for the Leewards. They were starting to put together a partnership, and they could certainly ill afford that in terms of the type of shot as well. And I think that's where the real disappointment is in terms of the shot that was played by Jennison Richards, because in terms of the leg break ball, you probably have to be looking to access more of the offside. Probably didn't need to take that risk as well in terms of going into the air as well. Could have looked to play that one on the ground, but in terms of the shot, well, she's got to pay for it after getting a life whiff in the run out. She goes for 4, and it's now 36 for 5.
One wonders, you know, if there's a question of concentration level for these batters. Of course, we know Leewards, they have not been in this tournament as long as some of the other teams. I think they were probably the last team to come into this women's tournament, and they're still trying to get some footing in women's cricket here in the Leewards. But it's Fletcher who tosses up outside the off stump. Fletcher picking up a 1st wicket, of course. And there's no run. So over number 11 comes to an end. And Fletcher in the 1st over picking up a wicket for just 1 run.
Yeah, just looking back on the dismissal, you mentioned maybe the factor of concentration, and maybe that could be it, but also just that shot selection, as we get a nice view of, I believe, would we consider that to be a ferry or just a regular cargo boat coming across there on the screen?
Cargo boat, of course.
Cargo boat, there we are. I've seen many of them coming across there to that port. But yeah, just certainly the shot selection at the stage of the game as well, in terms of the situational awareness and understanding that they could ill afford something like that. I think that is where the real disappointment would come for the Leeward Islands.
So, Leeward Islands, the new batter, of course, is Amanda Edwards. Saxena, she's on 26, she's been there for some time, and she is on to the back foot and punches up to cover. Byron is in, she feels, and just a single there. Kiana Joseph is operating from the pavilion end. Score's gone on to 37 for 5. So Kiana Joseph, left arm, operating around the wicket. She has a slip, backward point cover, extra cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket back on the boundary. There's a short mid-wicket also and a short backward square as she goes in now, left arm around wicket bowls to Edwards, Amanda Edwards. Edwards is pushing this one into the offside for Joseph to field to her own bowling. And there's no run. Bright and sunny at Warner Park. Just a couple of spectators in as Edwards is defending once more. 37 for 5 in over number 13. And they're going at just about 2.96 runs per over. As Joseph in the second over goes in our bowls to Edwards. Edwards is pushing into the offside. And this time it's Millington, not Millington, sorry, Etienne, who is fielding at short extra cover, and there's no run. So Joseph once more, left arm. This time it's on the off stump, and Edwards is defending. It goes into the offside. So it's rather quiet going here by the Leewards. They're struggling at 37 for 5. Outside the off stump, pushed into the offside. A bit of hesitation from Saxena, but in the end, an easy single was taken as the ball was pushed out into the covers. And Edwards gets off the mark. With that single, it's now 38 for 5.
Yeah, I usually say you just never let a team back into the game. And that's not to say that the game was going away from the Windwards, but it's the case of the Leewards were starting to look good. They were rotating the strike quite nicely. They were picking up the boundaries at what you could probably say was a more frequent level to what would have happened probably within the early exchanges, the first 6 overs, first 8 overs of the game. But just with that wicket, it allows them to settle in and just put on a bit more pressure.
Fletcher bowls to Edwards, who is swinging, and the ball goes behind him. It was in the air for some time. And over the keepers, over the left shoulder of the wicket keeper, Fontaine, and it ran down to short fine leg for a single.
The other thing about that too is that coming here, you always knew that in terms of the two main bowlers, it would have more likely have been Affy Fletcher and Kiana Joseph. If they could have batted them out of the game.
So Fletcher bowls a delivery which is tossed on the leg stump. One bounce to Bayonne, who came charging, then missed it completely and allowed a second run. It was in the air for some time, and perhaps she was thinking in terms of taking the catch. And in the end, she ran past the ball and had to backpedal and retrieve. So Fletcher once more, right arm leg spin from the loser Croden. Bowls a good delivery. This one is right on target, and it's defended there by Saxena. Saxena, who soldiers on. She's playing a lone hand at the moment. She's on 29. And she has only faced some 31 deliveries, so she has been going at a good clip, good scoring rate. This one is outside the off stump, played one bounce up to cover, and it's fielded, and there's no run. So in the air for some time, and Saxena, she so far has been the backbone of the Leeward Islands batting, tossed up. And she's pushing into the onside. We'll get a single as the return goes to the bowler's end. And the over comes to a close. In fact, no, there's another delivery in the over. As Fletcher comes in a bowls, tosses up, and defended there by Edwards. Goes into the offside. And it's picked up there at square cover, and as the over comes to an end. So it's 42 for 5 the Leewards, and we've had some 14 overs completed.
Yeah, I was making the point that in terms of coming here today, you probably figured that the bulk of the wickets, or the bulk of where they were looking for the pressure to come from, would have been Kiana Joseph and Affy Fletcher. The fact that they lost the 4 wickets to the opening bowlers allowed the Windwards to be in a by far better position. But that being said, had the approach been to bat through the overs of Affy Fletcher, not necessarily give your wicket away or give a chance to her or Kiana Joseph, it would have put a bit more pressure back onto the Windwards in terms of the fact that they almost look to somebody else to pick up the wickets. And I think that is when things could have gone in the favour of the Leewards here today.
So Kiana Joseph will continue to Saxena, who is playing this one up to Ward's square leg. Just forward of square and gets an easy single. So she now moves to 31. It's 43 for 5 in over number 15. And of course, Saxena, she came in at number 3. And she has been there. She has seen wickets fall around her. And she's playing a lone hand here so far. And probably looking for someone to lend some support from the other end. Joseph goes in now. This time it's an off stump. I think Joseph tends to be a little flat though. She probably could give it a bit more air and probably try and see if there's any grip in this track. But she's tending to push it through a bit. She goes in now. Tosses up this time as if she was listening to me. Takes the batter on the pad. And she's on her way. She played across the line. In fact, my good friend Gary in the back is saying she actually walked for that leg before. So just as I was saying, Joel, she needs to give it a bit more air. She tossed it up and she got success immediately.
Yeah, once again, those 2 words, shot selection, coming into play. And it got a wicket, but in terms of the type of delivery that it wasn't necessarily what you might consider to be that wicket-taking delivery, because ultimately it was a full toss. And it's one that, in terms of when we consider correct cricket, could have been just played back down the ground and looked for the single. So once again, just falling to a situation that they didn't need to hear the Leewards. And once again, I mentioned the fact that in terms of giving the wickets to the likes of Afi Fletcher, because in terms of the wicket she took, that was shot selection as well. The wicket that Kiana Joseph has taken as well. So they have not forced Kiana Joseph or Afi Fletcher to work hard to get the wickets, and that probably is what is going to be the downfall here for the Leewards.
But the thing is, I was saying that Joseph needs to toss it up a bit more, because these Leewards batters, once the ball is in the air and it's above the eye line, it poses a problem to them. They could become very indecisive. And as a result, we saw a delivery there which was tossed up. And the batters probably caught in 2 minds, and she went across the line and in the end paid the price for delivery, which was a lot slower through the air. As you rightly said, it was a full pitch delivery. In fact, it virtually took the batter full on the pad, and she was going across the line. But the fact that it was above the eye line probably put probably several thoughts into the batter's mind. Sometimes you see a full pitch delivery, you think in terms of playing it straight or going across the line, and before you know it, you're either bowled or leg before, you missed it completely. And that bit of indecision probably caused the downfall of the batter. So Leewards really struggling, 43 for 6, and it's a good time to bring in Joel, ball by ball, and Gary to give some comments.
So the Leewards are certainly up against it here at Warner Park, and it seems as though we will be in for another early day. Smitten, we had an early day on Monday at Connery, and the Leewards certainly have put themselves in a deep hole here at Warner Park. It was a poor shot, a full delivery with that last wicket, and she played across the line of it, and she was plumb in front. So the new batsman for the Leewards is Kimberly Anthony.
Coming left arm around.
So Leewards 43 for 6. And Kiana Joseph will continue from the media center end.
Play.
Well, that one's a good shout again. And it's a double strike for her. Back-to-back wickets for Kiana Joseph. And a further trouble for the Leeward Islands.
Oh yes, it was straight delivery and she came forward. She missed it. She was directly in front of the stumps. And the Windwards continue to pick up wickets here at Warner Park. Leeward is certainly not up to it today. And they were inserted, and the Windwards certainly continuing from where they left off in the first game at Connery. Leewards now 43 for 7 in only the 15th over.
Yeah, we talked about the fact that in terms of how she might look to approach it, probably looking to take a lot more of those LBWs. And it's interesting because the last two deliveries have been slightly slower. The first one was a full toss, and she was gifted almost a wicket given the shot that was played, but a much better delivery on that occasion in terms of what we consider that push-pull factor, in terms of just giving it some slight air, the fact that the length was perfect, drawing the batter forward. It takes the pad, and she will certainly be happy with that one.
So the new batsman for the Leewards is Rosella Leewards. She's one of the opening bowlers for the Leewards. She has some ability with the bat, but she has not demonstrated that thus far. Well, in the first game, she didn't get amongst the runs, hoping that this time around she might do better.
Well, Joseph on a hat-trick. And that is it. The first hat-trick of the CG United Women's Super 50, and it belongs to Kiana Joseph.
So, Kiana Joseph has taken a hat-trick here at Warner Park. She got 3 wickets, 2 by the LBW route, and then the last ball, it was a flighted up delivery. The batsman went for the drive, she missed it, and the stumps were shattered. Leewards in further problems here at Warner Park. They are 43 for 8, and Roselle Leibert has been making her way back to the dugout, and the winner certainly. They are cock-a-hoop here because they have picked up some 8 wickets after they would have inserted Leewards. And based on what we have seen, well, what would have happened in the first game, the Leewards, in terms of the lower order batsmen, they don't really have much to offer. The top 2 or 3 batsmen has some ability, but the others, they leave much to be desired. And thus far, they have demonstrated that 43 for 8.
Yeah, you think about that being the hat-trick ball. Naturally, you might tell yourself that defense is what would have come into play to ensure that the wicket didn't fall. But that occasion, given some air once again by Kiana Joseph, and then playing across the line, and that was the undoing of Leibert on that occasion. Just opting not to go, as we say, that up and down cricket, looking to play the ball in terms of what you might consider the V, down towards mid-off, down towards cover, etc. But you can see what it means to the Windwards. A hat-trick for Kiana Joseph. She's not going to forget today, and you certainly know that she's hunting for more. 1 delivery left. Cheyenne Moses, the new batter. She survives what has been a fantastic over. 1 run from it, 3 wickets. It's 43 for 8.
Well, excellent over there for Kiana Joseph. She, in the first game versus Guyana, she would have picked up some 4 wickets. And now she's back amongst the wickets here at Warner Park. And the Leewards certainly are up against it, and this game certainly seems as though it will finish early. As you mentioned about the hat-trick wicket or the hat-trick ball, the batsman made no effort to at least cover her stump. She was just driving at a flighted delivery with all her stumps exposed. She missed it, and she was bowled. If she had at least tried to cover the stump, then the umpire would have to come in to make a LBW call, but that was not the case, and Joseph was able to pick up the hat-trick.
Well, it's going to be Afi Fletcher to continue. Picked up 1 for 5 so far from her 2, and this certainly is the ideal circumstance for any captain to be in. No real pressure has been put back onto them other than from Saxena. Guides that beautifully.
Only one.
Just the 1 for them. Good work by Zeta James. She's done quite well in the field as young James, and you maybe expect that as one of the younger members of this unit.
Yeah, she looked fleet-footed running after that shot, and she did well, slide and picked it up.
This brings Moses into strike now, and I guess it's a case of how does she approach this. Another batter at the end, somebody who's carrying the light pretty much for the Leeward Islands, and pretty much carrying all of the hope for them as well. And I would like to think that's a case of just resolute defense probably to come here from Moses, but given some of the shots we've seen before this, you wonder if that might be the case. Employing a second slip now, in fact a gully, so a slip and a gully for Moses, and she's behind it quite nicely, and this is what I would hope to see across the innings from Moses. Quite some time to bat, so we're even wondering whether or not they might even get to the 30th over here, but it must be something for them. Behind it, Again, he just wondered if maybe one or two batters before her could have maybe opted to do something similar to what we're seeing here right now.
She looked very solid.
And behind it again. And I started looking up towards the heavens. I hope that it's not a case of disappointment. Probably only disappointment in the fact that it probably just went into the air for some time. I would like to hope. Oh, turning away from her. The keeper in Fontaine can't gather it. And it appears to be a brilliant effort on the boundary down there. So running behind everything. The energy is there from the Windwards. Signal buys now from the umpire to close out that over. 16 overs have been bowled. It's 46 for 8.
Well, a good delivery to complete that over is it turn and bounce and beat both the batter and the keeper and went down towards the boundary. But good effort there to pull it back in. And the Leewards will continue to struggle after 16 overs. They are 46 for 8. And I'm sure Windies will be looking to pick up these 2 final wickets as quickly as possible. And the Windwards, I'm sure they are very, very much elated based on the fact that they would have picked up all of 8 wickets after some 16 overs. But Saxena has been batting well. She's the only batter who seems to want to stay out there and make some runs for the Leewards.
Yeah, she looked a touch different to everybody else out there who's batted so far for the Leewards today. Her intent was there, her thinking was there, her adjustments were there. And Joseph has gone into what is looking to be a very fantastic rhythm at the moment. We mentioned the fact that quite early on in a couple overs that she was bowling, she was a lot flatter, a lot shorter. Now, since picking up the first wicket, she's really gone into controlling the pace quite well. Goes after that one, does Saxena. A brilliant bounce and a brilliant take out there coming around, and a direct hit as well. So everything going the way of the Windwards right now, but Saxena, the one still looking to apply that pressure. And what is also good to see is that she's picking her deliveries correct as well.
Yeah, she's not playing any false shots. She's looking at the ball, the proper shots to play to each delivery, and she has been doing excellently so far. She just needs to get some support from the other end, and let us hope that Moses will give her that support.
Well, employing now a second slip in Jada James. And in behind it, nicely. Good work from Moses. They're smiling out there because they know that they're
it was a teaser
on top. Walks away from that one. Not quite ready was Moses. But this is the times that you really want to see the difference in maybe one or two cricketers in terms of the thinking ability and looking at the situation and assessing what is required. It might not be pretty in terms of just looking to defend everything, but it's effective. Employed that second or third slip almost as Jada James and come into play just now. But yeah, sometimes you have to play what we consider that ugly innings in inverted commas just because of the team cause. Oh, that one coming back in on the arm, and the dreaded finger goes up and the dance comes out for Kiana Joseph. She's now picked up 4. The 9th one falls for the Leeward Islands. Oh, things have gone from bad to worse.
That was the wrong one, and that's the one that came back. The batsman was onto the back foot, hoping that that ball would have spun away. But it came back into her as she was stuck on the pad, maybe a bit high, but she seemed to be a bit disappointed with the decision. But the umpire's decision is always fine. It was a good delivery from Joseph because the batsman was going back onto her back foot, and the ball came in towards her. She was struck in front, and the umpire raised the dreaded finger, and Leewards 47 for 9 in only over number 17.
Yeah, looking at it, I always wondered if one, height, it might be the question, and 2, if it was doing too much because of that angle that Kiana Joseph has coming around the wicket, currently to the right-handed batter. And I did think maybe it is a case of maybe could have been going on to miss that leg stump. But the umpire has a better view than I do, and has adjudged that that one was going to be hitting the leg stump more than likely there. And so Moses goes, it's 47 for 9, And we're only into the 17th over here. Round number 2 action in the CG United Women's Super 50 Cup.
And Joseph has picked up 4 for 9, and she has 1 delivery remaining in her 4th over. She would have picked up 4 wickets in the first game versus the Guyana team. And now she has come back here at Warner Park. She got a hat-trick, and has picked up some 4 wickets.
Yeah, hunting for a 5-wicket haul is Kiana Joseph at the moment. Looking for the stumping. The umpire tells him no, it's not time to celebrate. The end, though, of another successful Joseph over. 1 run and 1 wicket from it. 17 gone. It's 47 for 9.
Yes, and the Windwards certainly would be happy. They would have won the toss here today, and they would have inserted the Leewards. And the Leewards are 47 for 9. Saxena, she has batted well though. She's on 33 from 38 balls. She has looked good while she was there. The other batters did not give the type of support that I'm sure the captain and the management team of the Leewards would have hoped for. But I'm sure that she will want to encourage Tonya Martin to bat as long as possible, because we have all of 33 overs remaining. But it's highly unlikely that they will bat so many overs. But you would want to Saxena to face as many balls as possible.
Yeah, certainly in terms of everything that's on offer. She takes a single there, the first ball of that over. She's the one that has to take majority of the strike here. And I had a quick look at the stats, and I do know that Kiana Joseph would hope that her skipper doesn't take this wicket, because if she's able to take 5, it'll be her first 5-wicket haul in ODI cricket.
It's always good to pick up a 5er. Make a half century or century, or the bowler getting 5 wickets that's an achievement.
Keep going, ladies. Keep going, girls.
It's a new batter, and Tonya Martin faces up to the skipper for the Windward Islands. This one's in the air, but away from the fielder, and probably a few hearts involved there. Going for the second, certainly not on. Would have probably spelled the end, or would have spelled the end of the innings. And communication is another factor that I've seen come into play in terms of how many runouts we've seen across this tournament so far. Well,
there were 2 runouts at the Connery playing field on Monday when the Windwards came up against Guyana. A lack of communication created that.
Well, goes after this one. Looks as if she's got all of it. Hits that boundary rope now. So the runs continue for Saxena, and I think that brings up the 50 for the Leeward Islands.
Well, a ball outside the off stump, and she went after it. She pulled it into the onside. So she now will be trying to see how many runs she can get, how many more runs she can get from here on in, because they're not sure how long the other batsman would bat. So I'm sure she'll be looking to play more aggressive and see how many runs they can get.
Well, certainly every run she can get will be important for their cause. Down the track, and I mentioned that luck factor that she was put down on 22 off the bowling of Glasgow, and no miss-stumped when she's on 38, and she will probably be saying that today is maybe her day.
It has been thus far.
Well, this time it was in the air and falls agonizingly wide of everyone out there. They thought that could have been what would have wrapped it up.
But I think she has made her intention clear that she's going to try and go after the bowling and see how many more runs she can get. You've seen these 3 shots in those 3 final shots. She was trying to go after the bowling. She was missed-stumped because she went down the strip looking to drive. She missed it, and she was missed-stumped.
The final delivery of this Affy Fletcher over. It's a dot ball. So the Leeward Islands, they survive into the 18th. It's 54 for 9.
Yes, and Martin did exactly what the management team would have been hoping. Just try and block that, so at least Saxena can face the over coming up. And she will try and will continue to try and see how many more runs she can get. On the other hand, I'm sure Kiana Joseph will be looking to get her first 5-wicket haul in the West Indies Super 50 Women's Tournament here. This match been played here at Warner Park. But the Leewards certainly, they have not distinguished themselves here because they would have been inserted. And they are 54 for 9.
But we're waiting on you.
Well, today is certainly a dream day for Kiana Joseph. Oh, that was struck nicely. And it goes through the fielder. So a misfield takes Saxena into the 40s now. Not good work out there on the boundary.
Jamila Glasgow on the boundary. Came around the ball, went through her legs. And the Leewards will certainly welcome those extra runs.
Yeah, she did what we call the hard yards, the work in terms of getting to the ball, but just not necessarily getting the body behind it, at least have a second form of defense. Goes again, work again for Glasgow. This time, she does the job required of her, and beyond that, she keeps it down to a single, which means that Kiana Joseph now has 4 deliveries that she can bowl to Tonya Martin.
And you can see Saxena is beckoning to her. Please, just block them. She'll try and block those final 4 deliveries without being aggressive.
Hunting for 5.
She defends. She has defended that well.
Yeah, that's certainly all that's required from Martin. Get back behind the ball. Runs aren't necessarily what she needs to come out here and score at the moment. A lot slower through the air there, and you're also seeing now a bit of turn as well for Kiana Joseph. And she's really been varying her pace nicely coming onto the back half of this spell. Oh, that one probably going down the leg side. Nervous times, tense times here at Warner Park. Just 1 delivery left in this over for her now. Down the track, it's in the air. Make that 5 for Kiana Joseph. The figures of 5 overs, 5 for 15. And the Leeward Islands, they're all out for 59.
Saxena certainly will be disappointed with the effort of Martin, because all she needed to do was to try and just block it. She decided to go for the big swing. The ball came from the outer portion of the bat, went high in the air, and gave a simple catch to Kiana Joseph, who would have picked up 5 wickets, and the Leewards folding here at Warner Park for just 59 in the 19 over, 18.5 overs, or just I think it's 19 overs have been completed, and the Leewards have folded quite easily here at Warner Park. The Windwards would have won the toss and inserted the Leewards, and they have been dismissed for 59. But we saw a good knock from the number 2 batsman for the Leewards, Saxena, and I'm sure she'll be disappointed with the way things end, because you could have seen that at the start, when she took the single from the second delivery, she was beckoning to her, please just try and block it. And the batsman, number 11 batsman, maybe you don't expect much from a number 11 batter, but at least she should have tried a little harder to at least give Saxena an opportunity to face another over. That wasn't the case. She tried to go for the big shot, and she gave her hands away, and the Leewards made a paltry 59, and I'm sure the Windwards will be looking to win this game and win it quite comfortably, as they did in Guyana when they won by some 9 wickets.
Yeah, just looking at the type of dismissal is what really caused you to maybe shake the head a bit, because just 1 delivery left in that Kiana Joseph over, and the intention of chipping down the wicket, looking to maximize, certainly shouldn't have been it. Claps going on right now for Kiana Joseph, and she deserves every single one that she's gotten. Picked up 4 in round number 1. Poses for the cameras now in round number 2, because she secured 5 here.
And the hat-trick.
Yeah, and the hat-trick as well for her. So congratulations to Kiana Joseph. Congratulations to the Windwards, because they won the toss, opted to bowl first, and bowling the Leewards out for 59. Certainly they could have asked for a better day for them. They're celebrating her, and she deserves all of it. All hands in the air signaling 5 for Kiana Joseph. 5 and high fives, thumbs up for her. But yeah, if you are the Leeward Islands, well, it is certainly not a good-looking scorecard for you. Wickets fell at regular intervals, and with shots that they would look back on and say that they shouldn't have played. Wickets fell in overs number 1, so wickets fell at the score being not 1, 14, 20, 36, 43, 43, 43. That was the hat trick for Kiana Joseph. Then 47 and 59 just now to wrap things up. So all in all, a fantastic morning and a fantastic hour and a piece, hour and 21 minutes for the Windward Islands. Probably, they might say, one of their easiest mornings they've ever had on the park.
Yes, and as I said, just about an hour, and they will now have to make 60 runs. So this game will finish pretty early today. Are they going to be taking lunch at this time? Are they going to break between innings and come back?
Definitely no lunch required at the moment. Probably more so just a 15-minute break is going to happen here, given the amount of overs that were bowled.
I was reading the rules, because once the innings is completed, they will take lunch.
Oh, fair enough.
Based on the rules that they would have sent out, I went to the rules, and I think that was what was indicated.
Oh, an interesting
So 30
factor
minutes.
there.
Lunch
So
is 30
a lunch break of 30 minutes, and when we return, well, it's going to be the turn of the Windward Islands to chase down 60, and they'll have 50 overs to do just that. So in 30 minutes time, rejoin us here at Warner Park for round 2 action of the CG United Women's Super 50 Cup.
Sprint boy, get a walk in the park again to the boy.
Yeah.
Good day, welcome back to Warner Park. We tell you that the Windward Islands they will be replying to the total of 59. They have to make 60 to win. So the players are in the middle, and we will see the start of play as the Leewards will be looking to defend 59 runs. I have to my left Earl Smith. Earl, good morning.
Well, good morning. And it's a very good morning for the Windwards also. Just having to score some 60 runs. 10 less than what they dismissed Guyana for in the opening match. And they got those runs. In fact, they would have dismissed Guyana for 79. So that's 20 less than what Guyana was dismissed for, and they got it for the loss of just 1 wicket.
So it's going to be Anthony who will be opening the attack for the Leewards. He'll be bowling to Edwards. Comes over the wicket, bows to Edwards, full and wide, slashes down towards the third man area. Will get a single. As the fielder down in the third man area is Melissa Clark. So the Windwards there on the way, a full delivery outside the off stump, and it came off the outer portion of the bat, went down to third man for a single.
Middle.
So I'm pretty certain that Edwards would be a lot happier. I think in the first match she was dismissed for duck. So
Let's go,
she'll
Kimmy.
be
Let's
quite
go,
happy to get off the mark today.
That's it. Oh.
So Anthony will bowl to Marcelin, who would have batted for the entire duration of the Windward Islands chase in the first game of versus Guyana. And so she'll be facing up to Anthony, who comes in from the far end, bowls to Marcelin. She's in behind it, pushed it down into the offside. There is no chance of run. So the Leewards really did not put up a fight, at least with the batting. We'll have to see how they will do in the fielding. But based on what we would have seen from the Windwards seem to be gelling well as a team. And they have done excellently thus far.
Yes, the Windwards have performed creditably so far in the tournament.
Anthony bowled a short delivery outside the off-turn. The batsman thought about playing at it. The ball probably came back in towards her as well. So it was a bit too close to her, taken behind. But the keeper, good delivery, some pace on it as well, Spitton.
Oh yes, certainly a good line, a good length, and she got some good bounce there from that delivery. And working up a bit of pace.
So Anthony bowls to Marcelin. Marcelin is beaten outside the off-stump by a good delivery. She was pushing at it. She was beaten, a good delivery. Touched down just on about the off-stump and seamed away from the batsman Marcelin and taken behind by the keeper.
Well, it would be interesting to see how the Windward Islands batters go against the quicker bowlers. In the match against Guyana, they faced all spin.
Anthony comes up and the batter driving in the air through the covers, and it will go down towards the boundary for 4. It was outside the off stump, wide enough for Marcelin to show her bat at it, and went between cover and extra cover down towards the boundary for 4. So with that shot, Marcelin is off the mark, and a total 5 without loss in the first over.
Well, we have seen another side of Marcelin in the first match. She was rather obdurate. She batted for a long time, supported the captain, and in the end she was 29 not out. But here we see she's already showing some signs of aggression.
Anthony goes over the wicket, bowls to Marcelin. Marcelin is coming forward from the inner portion, goes into the onside down towards the back of the square area, and there is no chance of a run. Cheyenne Moses is the fielder at back of square. So the over has been completed. So the first over in the Windward Islands reply has been completed. They need to make 60 from 50 overs. They are 5 without loss after 1.
Yes, a good start by the Windwards. We saw Anthony getting some life from the track, but in the end, the Windwards came out on top, scoring some 5 runs from their first over.
That's mid and red.
And the current rate, of course, 5 runs, and Windwards just need to score just about 1 run, 1.12 runs per over to win this match. But if they continue at the rate at 5 runs per over, this match could be over in 12 overs, but we'll have to wait and see.
So Roselle Leewards is the other opening bowler from this bowling from this intermediate center end, And she bowling to Edwards. Edwards is on 1, as you would have indicated. She made a duck. She will bowl of the first legitimate delivery of the Guyana innings, but that was the only wicket the Guyanese were able to pick up, as the Windwards got to the total of 79 or 80 with the loss of just 1 wicket. So Leewards will want to see how many wickets, as if she can pick up some quick wickets and create some trouble for the Windwards. So Edwards will be facing up to Leewards. As Leewards goes over the wicket, bowls to Edwards. Edwards gets the delivery outside the off stump. She watches it go through to be taken behind by the keeper, and there is no chance of a run. So as you would have indicated, Leewards was the last team to come into the competition, but they're still in the early stages of development of women's cricket in the Leewards. So this exposure will be good for the players.
Oh yes, certainly. We know that Leewards, they are struggling to find players. Kudos to management for putting together a team.
Leewards bowls to Edward. Edwards getting delivery outside the off stump. She's coming tentatively forward. Ball came from the inner portion of the bat. Came back on the strip on the offside for Leewards to pick up, and no chance of a run. Exposure,
of course, would only make the players better. Of course, we know that from St. Kitts there was one player, Claxton, who went on to make the West Indies on the 19 team, and we are hoping that in and around the region, in the Leewards, we'll have more women playing cricket and perhaps developing the game as.
Both Edwards looking to swing across the line, misses, and taken behind by the keeper. So Edwards ironed that area down at mid wicket, the ball on the off stump, and she was swinging across it. She missed it and was taken behind by the keeper. So lunch is going to be at 110, as has been indicated by the match referee. Leewards over the wicket, bowls to Edwards, delivers it onto the back foot, forces it into the onside, goes through for a single. Fielder has a direct hit from mid wicket, moving across to her left, but the batsman Marcelin was safely home. The question asked of the umpire, but he's not interested. So the total moves on by 1. That's Amanda Edwards. She's the vice captain of the Leewards team. But with that single, the Windwards, they have gone on to 6 without losing over number 2.
Yes, just one run coming from the over so far, being bowled by Roselle Leewards. She has delivered 4 deliveries. She has been more or less on target, just on about off stump or just outside off stump, but bowling a good line and length.
She will go over the wicket to bowl to Marcelin. Marcelin, she is on 4. Edwards is on 2. Marcelin has faced 5 balls, and Edwards, she has also faced 5. We have a short third man. There is a point. There's a cover. There's an extra cover, who has now been asked to move over onto the onside, and the offside fielders have been shifted around to their right, so there were a vacant spot between the keeper and backward point, and we have a cover point, extra cover, and a mid-off, as Leewards goes over the wicket, bowls to Marcelin. Marcelin is coming forward and driving down to mid-on, goes too quickly for the single. The fielder at mid-on didn't pick it up cleanly, and they came through for the single. That's Melissa Clark. So one more to the total. It has gone on to 7 at the start of, we're in the second over. There's 1 delivery remaining. Being bowled by Roselle Leewards from the media center end. The target is 60. The Leewards were dismissed for 59 at the end of the 19th over. A 5-wicket haul from Joseph and 44 to Zaxina. Over the wicket, Leewards bowls flat, fast delivery. The batsman looking to swing into the onside ball, spun across her and made a bit of height as well. She was looking to swing, then had to pull it out of the shot to bring up the end of the over. At the end of it, the Windwards, they are 5 without loss.
Yes, 5.
Or 7, sorry, 7 without loss.
Steady response, just 2 overs completed. A steady over there from Leewards. Conceding just some 2 runs, but when you look at the Leeward Island scorecard, Gary, one player, number 3 batter, getting 44 out of 59, it simply tells you that the others did anything. They had the trouble, the scorers. No other player managed to get to double figures, so it was indeed a pathetic performance from the Leeward Islands team. But I think probably a few wickets here and there would probably do their confidence some good and probably provide some moral boosting for them.
Well, Anthony will look to try to get some wickets, and she would have bowled the first over from the far end, and now she'll be coming in to bowl to Marceline. Marceline had a long outing in terms of being in the middle for a long time in the first game, so she's accustomed to being in the middle. As Anthony will come in from the Lozak Road end, which will come over the wicket, bows to Marceline, short delivery. He's playing it down towards the third man area, hustles through for the first run, thinking about a second. She's looking to come back without even communicating with Edwards, who was not really interested. And the return came towards the keeper, so one more to the total. And Marceline has gone on by 1, and the total has gone to 8. So Marceline is on 6, and the total 8 without loss.
Come on, ladies,
Yes,
let me go.
Marceline just turning blind, as we would say, and charging back, looking for a second run without even communicating with the partner. And as Joel said earlier on, communication seems to be one of the problems.
Anthony bowls down the onside, signal wide by the umpire. So we have the first extra of the innings. The total with that extra has gone on to 9. And Windwards looking to get 60 to win. So Anthony is in her second over from the far end. Over the wicket, bowls to Edward. Edwards coming forward, pushing it into the onside, goes down to a mid-wicket area where it was a Leewards. It's in the way she feels. And there is no chance of a run. Anthony at the top of the mark at the far end. Leewards batters didn't really distinguish themselves in this inning, in their innings. Anthony over the wicket, bowls to Edward. Edwards coming forward and driving, goes down to extra cover where it is fielded, and there is no chance of a run. The fielder at extra cover. Looks like McCoy will get that for you as Anthony come from the far end over the wicket, bowls to Edward. Edwards coming forward, taking on the pad, low appeal, and the Marston is hustling through for the single. No signal, any signal coming from the umpire. We will wait and see. And signal of leg by, so she might have been struck outside. It might have been struck outside the leg stump, and Marceline hustles through for the single, so a leg by.
Not only that, but Edwards is a very tall lass, and it seemed to have struck her above the pad, rather high.
This is off?
But Gary, though, Leewards, they cannot defend, they cannot restrict the Windward Islands in 50 overs, but yet they're not looking to take wickets.
So Anthony comes over the wicket, bowls to Marceline, a wide delivery signal now by the umpires, so another extra to the total, and that will go on to 11. 11 without loss. So you need to get the wickets, as you indicated. There's 59 runs. You cannot restrict the team, so you'll try as much as possible to get the wickets. So first of all, you have to try and bowl straight at the stumps as often as possible and get the fielders in the correct position. Anthony bowl, and Martin is driving down to mid-on. Thought about the single, but the ball went too quickly down to the fielder at mid-on to get any possibility of a run. And Veronique Maynard is the fielder at mid-on. So the Windwards 11 without loss in over number 3. Anthony over the wicket, bowls to Marceline. Marceline is pushing it into the offside, goes down towards the cover point area where the fielder came in. That's Tanita McCoy, based on the information on the sheet, and based on the information, she is an emergency fielder. So we'll have to see, check and see who is off the field of play. But McCoy is on the field. We don't know if Saxena is in the middle. We'll have to check and see. Saxena, who would have batted through the innings of the 19 overs for the Leewards, see if she's in the middle. But it will be Rosa Leewards who will continue from the media center end.
Yes, just to get back to what I was saying, we have not seen the Leeward Islands starting with at least one slip. The field has been rather defensively placed. As a matter of fact, from the far, we saw Anthony getting a bit of bounce, operating from the far end, and perhaps the captain could have offered a slip. But I guess it's a question of inexperience. They will learn over a period of time.
So Leewards will go over the wicket, the ball to Edwards. Edwards is coming forward and opening the face of the bat, running it down towards the backward point area. And Davronik Maynard is in the way she feels, no chance of a run. Leewards will go in, continue. She will go into bowl to Edwards. Edwards is on 2 over the wicket. Bowls to Edwards, flat, fast, on the onside is swinging. Goes down towards long leg. It will go into the boundary for 4. Bad delivery. And all that Edwards had to do was to get back on it. She did that. And it went down towards long leg for 4. And with that boundary, total has gone on to 15 without loss.
Yes, it was short, badly lined on the pads of Edwards, and Edwards obliged by swinging it down to the long leg boundary for 4. And outfield, of course, here at Warner Park, very, very quick, rather dry outfield, so the ball really raced away.
Leewards goes over the wicket, bowls to Edwards outside the off from driving. She missed it. She was floated up outside the off from the batsman going into the drive. She missed it and taken behind by the keeper.
Yeah, I'm thinking even for Leewards, the captain could have employed a first slip, and Leewards appears to be bowling off spin.
Goes over the wicket, bowls to Edwards. Edwards coming forward and driving into the offside. Goes down to Clark at mid-off. She feels. So what do you think the management team would have had a discussion before they went onto the field to determine what type of start, what type of field they would want to have in the early stages? As Leewards over the wicket, bowls to Edwards, flat faster than the onside. She appealed, but the ball obviously pitching outside the leg stump to the left hander, and they will go through for what should be a leg by. That has been signaled now by the umpire, and the umpire presiding at this end is Caroline Brown. So extras moved on by 1 and a total 16 in over number 4. The target is only 60 as the Leewards were dismissed in the after 19 overs for a paltry 59.
Yes, Gary, the management team would have had a discussion, of course, but they might have had the wrong discussion also, based on how things we see things going out there.
Ready?
So Leewards will continue from the media center end over the wicket, bowls to Marcel, and Marcel is coming forward to ball up on the center next time, pushing into the offside, and that will bring up the end of over number 3 at the end of the over, or end of over number 4 as a matter of fact. The Windwards, they are 16 without loss in search of 60 to win.
Yes, you get Leeward, you get a 4-5 wickets haul. It's totally different, and it does a lot more for your moral than if the team score the runs without loss. And I think they should have gone out there with the aim to pick up as many wickets as possible and to put some, really put some pressure on the Windward Island batters.
Anthony will continue from the far end over the wicket, bowls to Edwards. Edwards is standing up tall and pushing it back down the strip on the offside, goes down to mid-off. And Davronik Maynard is in the way she feels, and there is no chance of a run. The Windwards in the first game, they would have gotten to the target of 80 with the loss of just 1 wicket, and they're probably looking to get to 60 without losing a wicket here as Anthony comes up. Edwards outside the off stump. She's looking to play square of the wicket, misses. and taken behind by the keeper. So in terms of the discussions during or between break, the management, I'm sure, would have had a discussion with the captain, and then the captain would have the final decision as to whether or not to implement the management thoughts or discussions.
Oh yes, certainly the captain is in charge out there.
As Anthony over the wicket, ball to Edwards, looking to work it in the onside and appeal, but obviously struck the batsman high and obviously going down the onside as well. So the Leewards players on the field look a bit jaded, a bit flat-footed, no real urgency, because I guess they realize that the total that they would have made is insufficient, but you still need to you still would like to put some pressure on the batters.
Oh yes, certainly.
And Edwards is driving nicely, but he goes down to Maynard, who makes a good save at mid-off, preventing any possibility of a run. So the Leewards seem to be going through the motion, and I see that McCoy, based on the number on her shirt, is trying to encourage the players as Anthony comes over the wicket, balls to Edwards. Edwards coming forward to a delivery right up into the offside, and the fielder coming in quickly from a backward point. She feels, and there is no chance of a run.
Of course, the bowlers, they are doing a good job so far. They are bowling a good line and length. They have not been all over the place. They have certainly bowled well.
Anthony comes up, balls to Edwards outside the off stump. He's standing up tall and pushing it back on the strip on from the inner portion of the bat to bring up the end of over number 5. It is 16 without loss. The Windwards in search of 60, a paltry 60 to win here against the Leewards.
Yes, certainly a paltry score indeed. But as I continue to say, the Leeward Islands, they should be looking to exert some pressure on the Windward Island batters. The two batters, they're looking rather comfortable at the moment. Edwards is on 6 and Marceline is on 6 also. So the Leewards, they have not been giving runs away. But the batters are looking very comfortable, and you know, there's no real sign of anyone penetrating at this moment.
So Leewards will continue from this immediate center end, and maybe they need to try maybe a different bowler to see if a different bowler could bring different success. I would bring success for them. But Leewards, who has not bowled badly, but there's no pressure on the Windward Islands because the target is only 60. So there's no need for the Windwards to be under pressure. As Leewards, who is under pressure to get the wicket, so to get a pick up a wicket here, will be going into bowl to Marceline. Marceline, who is on 6. She has faced some 10 balls. Edwards on 6 from 20. As Leewards goes over the wicket, goes to Marceline. Marceline gets the ball right up. She's pushing it into the onside, and there is no chance of a run. So just quiet period of play here at Warner Park. The Windwards certainly in charge of this encounter. They would have inserted the Leewards and dismissed them for 59 after 19 overs, where we saw a good knock from Saxena of 44. Leewards over the wicket, bowls on the onside. The batsman looking to work it, comes off the pad, maybe goes on to long leg. We wait to see if there's any signal from the umpire. Should be maybe it's leg by, has been signaled by umpire Brown. So it just moved on by 1, and the total has progressed to 17. 17 without loss in over number 6. The target is 60. So there's some 43 runs away from victory. And they have all of 44.4 overs to do that. I'm sure they'll not need all those overs to make the 43 runs that they need to make to win. So for the left-handed Edwards, there is a ring of fielders on the offside. Some 5 fielders on the offside as Leewards over the wicket, bowls flat on the onside, swinging down towards the long leg area, knocked down by the fielder, diving away to her left, knocking it down well, and the batsman calls for a single. And the fielder could Saxena, it looks like. So Saxena is at, was the fielder diving away, and the batsman calls for a single. So total moves on to 18. 18 without loss in over number 6. So Leewards will continue from this day. Media center end as bright sunshine. And she will go over the wicket to bowl to Marcelin. Marcelin get delivery on the off stump. She's standing up to a full height and is pushing it into the offside down to extra cover. Where Moses is in the way she feels. Prevents any possibility of a run as Leewards goes over the wicket, bowls to Marcelin, flat, fast delivery onto the back foot, guiding it down towards the back of the point area field, and had a shot at the stumps at the far end, came off the batter Edwards, and that's Maynard at backward point. So one delivery remaining in over number 6. So Leewards be bowling to Marcelin, who is on 6 from 14. Goes over the wicket, balls to Marcelin. Marcelin is coming forward, taking on the pad from this vantage point, going down the onside. Came back in towards the batsman, he was shocked, but obviously going down the onside to bring up the end of over number 6. And the Windwards looking comfortable. They are 18 without loss.
Yes, very comfortable indeed. Just to give listeners some update on scores from the other matches. Guyana women, they're batting against Barbados, they're 97 for 6. Jamaica women against Trinidad and Tobago, 79 for 6. So, as I welcome back Joel, once again we see that the female batters, they're not really lasting long. They're not batting out the 50 overs.
Yeah, that certainly is something that we've seen across the tournament. We mentioned it in the first innings of the Leeward Islands, and I guess from a technical standpoint, that's something that will need to be worked on as we head across not just this tournament, but future tournaments. As you realize that the women's game has really exploded around the world. Oh, that one just beating the bat quite nicely. A bit of movement on offer for Anthony. That one just coming back in. But yeah, I mentioned the fact that the women's game has exploded around the world, and it's a case whereby at one stage we were up there in terms of our performances, in terms of our women's cricketers, but in recent times we're just starting to see a bit of a gap open up in terms of the talent going on. And it's just a case whereby we're going to have to find a way of bridging that gap, because we think back maybe to like a series versus England that we had recently with the women's cricketers, and we saw a massive gap in that. We saw performances here and there in the Women's World Cup. We saw some decent performances as well from our under-19 women in the first under-19 Women's World Cup as well. And yeah, it's just a case of just maybe looking to improve on a lot more of the technical aspects of the women's game at the moment, and one of those has to be batting out 50 overs.
Yes, and when you look at the other teams around the world, we see teams like Pakistan and Bangladesh improving as the years go by. And certainly we need to do a lot to catch up with the other teams.
Well done, Kimbe. Well done, Kimbe.
Certainly, and tournaments like these are surely important. And for me, coming in to doing this women's tournament, there are two things I was looking for. One, for the experience, to show their experience, but two, for the newcomers to shine almost, and shiny sense of not necessarily just the performances, but the signs that you're looking for as well. In terms of those signs, I can say that maybe I saw some of those signs from like a Chanel So, who would have played for Trinidad and Tobago and opened the batting for them, just in terms of her application at the crease and shot selection, something that we've seen be the downfall of Leeward Island. She did quite well across that game. Another sign I would have seen would have been the fielding efforts of Zeta James in the first round. In terms of the reflexes and the catches that were taken, and those are what you want to see as we've reached the end of the 7th over, 18 without loss. But yeah, just looking at those signs from the younger ones coming through and questioning whether or not there is talent to work with, and I can say definitively that there is talent that they can work with in terms of the women's game.
Yes, sir, certainly. We have seen, well, from the Leewards standpoint, we have seen Saxena being consistent with the bat and getting some runs. So at least that's some talent the Leewards would have to work with. They just have to build around them in terms of their batting. And as we look at the other teams, Afi Fletcher, who is well experienced, we have seen taking responsibility for a team and doing well in the first match and getting 44, coming in early in the innings and getting 44 not out.
Well, Roselle Leibird to continue. She's into her fourth. There's just 7 runs coming from the 3 overs that she's bowled so far. And she's really just been honing out on a good line and length. And I heard it mentioned earlier with regards to the looking at the field and the fact that probably they could have maybe looked to apply a bit more pressure in terms of fielding positions. When you think about a game like this with just 60 runs to get, the only name of the game is wickets for them, and not necessarily in terms of looking at the possibility of a win, but yes, they can certainly look for that still, but just in terms of applying that pressure and getting maybe a moral victory out of this one. Looking to go after this one, they scamper a single. And it was good early calling from that allowed them to get through for that one. But yeah, in terms of the moral victory factor, it must be a case of maybe at least taking 3, 4, 5 of these Windward Islands wickets before they get to that 60. But on the flip side of it, in terms of Windwards, they've done the job with the ball, but for them to tick a box, I do think that they will need to at most probably just lose 1 wicket in pursuit of this target, and they can tell themselves that it was a complete performance from them if they can do that. So still a lot to play for here in round number 2 for both sides. Edward facing now. It's interesting to see a bit of turn on offer with this new ball. The ball gripping out to the surface as it begins to dry out a bit more. We mentioned the fact that there's just a bit of moisture left in it at the start of the game. The sun is baking down on it, pulling that moisture out to the surface. A full toss, but can't find the gap, and probably might be a little disappointed there, Malika Edwards.
Oh yes, he certainly missed out there. Just a yard or so to the right of that field at cover, and it certainly would have raced away for 4.
Lovely shot. Absolutely fantastic cricket shot that from Edward to close out the over. 8 bowled. It's 23 without loss.
Yes, certainly indeed. It was a lovely shot. She just eased into it, timed it nicely, drove it between the stumps and the fielder there at mid-off, and the ball raced away down to the long-off boundary for 4. Lovely shot indeed. Well timed, well played, and a bit of elegance there from the left-handed Edwards.
Yeah, I certainly think the key to that one is the fact that she didn't look to overhit it as well. Just really about that timing from Edward there on that delivery. And it certainly deserved 4 in terms of how sweet it sounded from the moment that it left the bat. 37 runs needed for the Windward Islands now, and all the time in the world to do it. It's going to be Anthony to continue. Steers that one away nicely. And just looking at the field, just telling yourself that it's almost as if the Leeward Islands have resigned to the result, just in terms of the type of pressure maybe that they're looking to apply.
Oh yes, certainly, and you know, these 2 bowlers they have been operating. We are in over number 9. There are no signs, there are no indication that they might pick up a wicket, but yet the captain is continuing with them. Perhaps, you know, with such a small total, she might have opted to wing some changes.
That certainly could have been the approach, especially given, as you mentioned, the fact that we're into over number 9. You haven't necessarily seen any signs of a wicket-taking delivery just yet. And obviously, had the total been 180, 200 that they were defending, sure, you can give a bowler a longer spell, let them get into their work. But wicket certainly is the name of the game for them. They answer question, but it may have sounded like probably a bit of bat on that one. Also height, the question there. But yeah, certainly could have looked to maybe rotate the bowlers just a bit quicker in terms of just looking to see who might be that wicket-taking option for them, because you certainly know that this game is not going the distance. Oh, driven lovely down the ground, but can't get it past mid-off. In terms of options out there, and I know they didn't necessarily have the best of times in their first round either, but who maybe could be somebody that they can maybe look to the Leeward Islands as maybe just another option here?
Well, to be quite honest with you, Joel, I'll get back to that.
Or they scamper one. And they always say don't run on the missed field, but they get home quite safely with that one.
Yes, as I was saying, we have not seen much of the females around here. There's not a lot of female cricket being played in these parts, so it's very difficult for me to tell you who would be a better option out there. But certainly, if we could take a look at the scorecard, we'll get back to that in a moment.
Dot ball to close this out. 9 bowled. It's 25 without loss.
Yeah, so 25 without loss and going well. Edwards was the only wicket taker in the first match that the Leeward Islands played against Jamaica, Amanda Edwards. And, well, Richards would have bowled Saxena also. She seems to be somewhat of an all-rounder. So perhaps they could think in terms of going to Edwards, who would have picked up 2 wickets in the first match against Jamaica.
Oh, they're opting to continue with Leewards. Loose delivery. And given the treatment, that one finds its way into the boundary.
Yes, I think this has been too long a spell for Leewards. And she's in fact in her 5th over. She has not been penetrative. She does not look like she's going to take a wicket. And as you rightly said, as you rightly alluded to, the Leeward Islands seems just to be going through the motion.
Well, they can't afford to bowl too many of those types of deliveries, especially with how the field is set at the moment. And she finds back that line of length, just pushing it outside the off. So I'm looking at the field, that's certainly where the captain will want her to be bowling. There's a mid-off, a cover, an extra cover, a point, and a backward point. And so certainly just pushing across the angle, coming from over the wicket. Certainly need to get that ball starting, probably just maybe around off, someone going across. And just around there. But yeah, you mentioned the 2 wickets for Amanda Edward in their first round, as another 3 deliveries left in this over, and the spin option could be a factor for them in terms of this slightly changed up, because sure, Roselle Leewards here is looking as she's bowling spin, but it looks more so like a kind of a medium pace, if anything. Not really looking to impart much revs on the ball. It is spin, so let me call it that. It is spin. Let me not lie. It is spin. But just in terms of the approach so far, it just looked as if a bit quicker so far from her. Pushing through that one. Again, just 1 delivery left now in the over. And funny enough, it goes back almost to what you would have mentioned when Kiana Joseph was bowling and how she was successful in terms of when she started to slow things down as well. So maybe Leewards could opt to just go with a similar approach.
Yes, certainly.
A dot ball to close it out. Just the 4 runs from it. It's 29 without loss.
Well, 29 without loss. We have had the first power play being completed. Just some 2.9 runs. Well, the rate 2.9 in that first power play, but of course, the Windward Islands, they have all day in which to get these runs, and the asking rate is just 0.77, and And we are going to see, we're going to see, in fact, it's not a bowling change. It's the same bowler coming back into the attack, Anthony, from the far end. So no attempt at a bowling change by the captain, Willett.
Works that one down towards third man. Some easy work being down there. So interesting to look at the comparison between the innings. So at the 10 over mark, the Windward Islands were 29 without loss. The Leeward Islands actually, in terms of runs, were one better than them. They were 30. However, that wickets column, it was a differentiating factor for them. 4 wickets down, so we're 30 for 4 after 10. So in terms of looking at how things have progressed, they're on par almost in terms of both sides. And you just wonder what things could have been had they not lost those 4 early wickets. I thought it should have been a single from the time it left the bat. A bit of hesitation in the call, and they come for it in the end. But this is why we talk about the fact that, you know, what early wickets can do to your innings, because had they been 30 without loss, it would have been a good platform for them to head into the next phase of the game in terms of the fact that the first power play was completed. But they could have never really accelerated or gone anywhere with the innings just because of the fact that wickets were constantly falling for them. Stares that one away quite nicely again, does Marcelin. Really taking advantage of the fact that they've not sought at any stage to employ somebody in the Sip Clorden either. And you just think about maybe what could have been, and the fact that she's now probably gotten maybe 4, 5, 6 runs recently in that third man region, just opening the face and steering the ball. Had they put in a slip or put in a sack or anything of that nature, you know, taken that shot out of her mind, maybe forced her to do something different, could have maybe picked up a wicket.
Oh, yes, certainly.
Gets away with a full toss there, does Anthony. You just wonder, had they opted to just apply a bit more pressure, been a bit more positive when they came out, maybe if it could have spelt a wicket for them. They really just made it quite easy for the Windward Islands at the moment.
Yes, you just don't roll over and die.
Hard, T, hard.
The thing about it is that even in cricket, you have low scores, and you just always want to see that fight. That fight to the end, because even that is a good sign to have in your cricket. The final delivery of this Anthony over. Looking for one, can't get it. Can Marcelin? It's 33 without loss.
Yes, 33 without loss, and we have had some 11 overs completed, and the Windward Islands just drifting towards the paltry score 59 made by the Leeward Islands. And are we going to see Leewards continue? Yes, we are. And it seems as though Joel, the plan is to bowl these bowlers right down to the end.
Yeah, it looks that way. But just very quickly, given I'm not from St. Kitts, what am I looking at here in terms of the background and everything?
That's the port with part of the boardwalk in the background.
Okay.
That's the main port where all the cargo ships and so comes in.
All right, nice to know. For anybody that's watching on the stream and wondering, well, you've got your answer there in terms of what you were seeing on the screen and what you're seeing on the field now. It is going to be Roselle Liber to continue. I know a nice picturesque view. That's the one thing we don't have in Barbados, hills. Quite a flat island.
Noticed.
We are hills and mountains are over here in St. Kitts and Nevis. It's quite a lovely place to be. A lovely vacation spot it is. As we're back to the cricket now. Short this time and gets away with that one. Does Liber. In the previous over, Edward was able to capitalize on it this time, just missing it. Single wide now by the umpire.
You know, Joel, when I'm in Barbados, sometimes I feel as if I'm falling off the edge of the earth.
Quite flat we are over there.
Nothing.
So in terms of maybe like one or two things to do when in St. Kitts, what can we consider doing?
Well, I'm not doing man when it comes to that, but there's a lot of action around. I'll get back to that in a minute.
So give us some air. And Edwards finds the gap, finds the boundary.
Yes, a very good shot there indeed by Edwards, driving through the offside, and she seems to be very adept at these offside shots. We have seen a straight drive just down to long off before, elegantly played and well timed, and now it was in the air for a bit, this one, but it was between cover and extra cover, and it raced away to the bounce for 4.
And make that back-to-back double delight for Malika Edward.
Well, that's bad bowling, of course. It was over-pitched. And not just bad bowling, but bad captaincy. Willett persisting with Leewards from this end. Not really trying anything. It seems as though they're bent on getting this match over as quickly as possible. The Leeward Islands team. Not really looking to take wickets.
And I nearly thought that would have been called away. Probably getting away with one there probably was Roselle Leewards. It looked as if it could have been on the right side of that wide line.
Well, let's put it this way. The umpire Brown showed very good judgment there.
Oh, this one goes into the air, and I believe it will fall quite safely. Thinking about 2.
That should have been 2 runs, but the batter, Edwards, she just jogged through for the first run, whereas her partner was keen on coming back for a second one. Her partner, Marceline, was keen on coming back for a second one, but Edwards was satisfied with just a single.
All right, well, back to now things, maybe 1 or 2 that we could do in St. Kitts.
Well, the popular spot is the strip that's over in the Frigate Bay area, and a lot of nightlife seems to go on in that area. But, you know, from time to time there are a number of activities, you know, coming towards the end of June. There would be music festival in St. Kitts. I think it would be held right in Warner Park. So a number of elite artists would be coming in to perform. Towards the end of June, there will be quite some action. But we are seeing a bowling change from the far end.
Yeah, change in action. So off spin being employed from that Lozak road end.
Nothing.
And it appears probably to be
Well
Davonique Maynard operating at the moment. Actually, correction, Amanda Edward,
Well done.
the vice captain for the Leeward Islands. So we did wonder when she would be introduced into the attack. She picked up 2 wickets, the leading wicket taker for them so far in the CG United Women's Super 50 Cup. A wayward one down the leg side, and they certainly can't afford to be bowling too many extras given the total that they have on the board.
Joel, you made that sound very nice. The leading wicket taker. But I'll say it's the only wicket taker for the Leewards so far.
Well, that one, a full toss. And Edwards says, thank you very much.
Well, the runs coming a bit more quickly at this stage. Just some 16 runs needed. A bit of loose bowling in the previous over. We saw Leewards conceded 2 boundaries. And the tempo certainly quickened a bit in terms of the scoring rate for the Windward Islands. So just some 11 runs needed And in fact, 12 runs needed, so they're really charging home now.
Yeah, certainly on the home stretch here now. The Windward Islands handbrake down and heading for home. You would say 48 without loss, 12 runs needed, and the balls are certainly not an issue for them. Well, that's a shout, and that is success for Amanda Edwards. Success for the Leeward Islands.
Well, I mean, this is what we have been saying before. Why wait so long to bring Amanda Edwards into the attack? A wicket or two here would do the confidence of the Leeward Islands a world of good. You pick up 3-4 wickets against a team searching to get just some 59 runs, and you tell yourself, well, you know, if only we had scored another 20 runs or thereabout, it gives you some confidence. You know, what if we had scored another 20 runs? But, you know, if you don't get wickets, you know, you don't have anything good to fall back on. What are the good things can you take from the game? So, I think the captain really erred in a decision in not to wing the changes with the bowling. And she certainly opted to persist with the same bowlers for quite some time.
Well, Malika Edwards, she goes to 31 from 52 deliveries. It's 48 for 1 now at the end of 13. Coming to the crease is the skipper, Affie Fletcher. And she was the one that brought it home for them in round number 1 with her performance with the bat.
Yes, and certainly she batted very well in that match. She was aggressive, and she certainly kept the scoreboard ticking, while Marceline gave a good support from the other end. Marceline was not out on 29 in that match. Marceline is still there, and Fletcher was able to score 44 runs not out also. So these two would have done a very good job against Guyana, and gave the Windwards an easy victory. So Windwards looking to double up here today.
Well, a double bowling change, as it's going to be Denison Richard now to come from this media centre end. A bit more spin being employed by the Leeward Islands as they hope to maybe take 1 or 2 more as we talk about the mental victory aspect of what they could probably take from this game.
Yes, a double bowling change, but much too late. You're defending 59 runs. You do not give bowlers 5 overs each, especially if they're not looking penetrative. You ring the changes and you try to pick up some wickets. And I guess we keep repeating this over and over, but that's just how the game should be played. But they learn from this experience.
No ball, and it's going to be a free hit for the Windward Islands. And well, they didn't really need a free hit, but they will certainly accept it. Affie Fletcher on not. You really don't need an invitation when you're not to have a swing. This is certainly going to be a gift for her. Can she accept it with open arms is the question. No, she can't. Oh, in fact, it's signal wide. So it will be another free hit for her. A second bite at the cherry, they would say.
Let's go. Run out still, ladies. Run out.
Just another 8 runs needed.
A free hit for Affie Fletcher. And it's taken, but the catch will not matter. So another 1 to the total. And 7 runs. Well, in fact, 8 runs. 8 runs needed for them. Well, tries to go across that one. Gets a bit fortuitous, probably with the inner portion of the bat, saving her on that occasion. One more to her, one less to get as we begin to wind down this match. Leeward Islands versus the Windward Islands. One of 3 games going on today in round number 2 of the CG United Women's Super 50 Cup. That's certainly all that's required right now for the Windward Islands. Pick up the ones, you capitalize maybe on a bad ball if it's given, and they'll be over the line. I mentioned the fact that if they were probably just to lose 1 wicket before they get over the line, they would tell themselves that they ticked all the boxes here today, the Windward Islands. I thought at first it was a catch, but in fact it's put down at point.
Let's go, Jenny. Let's go, ladies.
Davronik Maynard, the one putting that down. It looked as if she got it into her hand. It would have been a fantastic low catch had she been able to hold on to it.
Nothing.
And that would have given the Leeward Islands something to smile about. But it's the completion of another over. 14 gone, it's 54 for 1.
Yes, 54 for 1. Just another 6 runs needed. And the match could be very well be over in this upcoming over. But certainly the Windward Islands, they continue to perform well. They would be getting their second victories. But I guess we'll have to wait and see how they match up against some of the other teams like Barbados, for example. And
Hey, move quick. Let me go, ladies.
certainly has not been the sort of performance Leewards would have hoped for, especially after getting 120 runs against Jamaica. You would have thought that at least they would have put up a much better fight here today, but it was not to be.
Well, Edwards to continue.
Run out!
And just looking to maybe get the single there. Afi Fletcher. Just a quick look at games around in this round at number 2. As I mentioned before, Ghana women were bowled out for 121 versus Barbados. Oh, she's got a hold of that. The field is in, just needed to clear. And that one hits the boundary. 4 less for them to get now. That takes the total up now to 58. So 2 runs needed to sign off and make it back-to-back victories for the Windward Islands. Quick look at the game between Jamaica women and Trinidad and Tobago women. Well, Jamaica, they're 119 for 8 at the moment. 37 overs have been bowled there. But here at Warner Park, just 2 runs away from victory. And the scores now are tied. So any moment now, the Windward Islands will be celebrating their 2nd win of this CG United Women's Super 50 Cup. And you would have to say that all around it's been a wonderful performance from them. Won the toss, opted to bowl, and since then everything has gone their way. That won't be the moment for them.
Let's go, ladies!
Will Marcelin have the honours of taking it home for them? Or will it be the skipper, Afi Fletcher, on another over? And she's bowled. So just when we were looking for the winning run, a wicket has come. And another smile on the face of Amanda Edwards.
Well, Amanda Edwards continues to take wickets, and it leaves us to wonder why the captain waited so late to bring her into the attack. She has picked up a 2nd wicket in the first match against Jamaica. She also picked up 2 wickets. So She continues to be the leading wicket taker for the Leewards, and of course the only wicket taker so far. But Windwards just 1-1 shy of victory, and certainly I think Mitchell. Michelin, she would have hoped to be there at the end, but in fact she gave it away towards the end, and the new batter would have to go out at the moment. So the new batter, of course, is Homer, and just a matter of 1 run, and this match would be history.
Well, certainly Marcia would have hoped that she would have been there at the end. And now the job over to Homer. And she defends this one back along the ground, prolonging the inevitable. 15 gone, it's 59 for 2.
Yes, certainly prolonging the inevitable. And, you know, many times in a situation like these, we have seen the winning run coming up off an extra. So it might not be from the bat, but certainly 1 run with another 35 overs to go. Certainly we would have been hoping that we would have seen, you know, much more of a competitive match here today. And
well, it's over to the captain now, Affy Fletcher. And that will be it. Signed, sealed, and delivered. Game to the Windward Islands. They win convincingly by 8 wickets here in round number 2 versus the Leeward Islands.
Yes, and Fletcher slapping that one down to the cover boundary for 4. So the Windwards would be the happy of the two teams. They continue on their winning ways, and certainly, Joel, they would have made the correct decision when they won the toss and opted to insert the Leeward Islands. And from the word go, they were on top. The Leewards, they were never in this game. And in fact, only one player managed to reach double figures. That's the number 3 batsman, Saxena, and she scored 44 not out. No other player got into double figures for the Leeward Islands. Kiana Joseph, of course, was the main destroyer, picking up a hat-trick and picking up the first hat-trick in this year's tournament. And she finished with 5 wickets. 5 for 14, as a matter of fact, from just some 5 overs, with good support from Glasgow, who picked up 2, and Etienne also picked up 2 wickets. Just set a target of some 59 runs. It was always easy going for the Windward Islands, but we felt that the Leeward Islands, though, could have been a bit more aggressive and try to get something out of this match. Something that would boost their confidence going into the next match, probably pick up a 2, 3, 4 wickets. But they obviously, based on what we would have seen here, they obviously just going through the motion. The 2 opening bowlers, Leewards and Anthony, they were persisted with for 5 overs each, and it was only towards the end where we saw Edwards coming on and picking up 2 wickets. Congratulations to the Windward Islands, and they continue to do quite well.
Yeah, certainly congratulations to them, and they certainly have been the better team across all of the disciplines today. They won the toss, and as I mentioned, since then everything has gone their way. The day certainly belonged to the girl, the woman, Kiana Joseph, picked up 5 for 14 from 5. She's not going to forget today. And just looking at that scorecard for the Leeward Islands, well, only one name stands out, and that is Divya Saxena, 44 from 44. Outside of that, there really was no help for them, and the reason why that total ended up being at 59 all out. Both openers, they went without troubling the scores. Sineldo Willett, the captain, just had 1 Therese Parker 1, Richards 4, Amanda Edwards 2, and then that hat-trick spell, not, and those are the wickets for Kiana Joseph. And then Tonya Martin, well, we wondered how she might play at the end. She opted to chip down and offered an easy cotton bowl catch in the end to Kiana Joseph to give her 5, and it was just the 1 run from her. So all in all, quite a disappointing looking scorecard, and a lot of time, I guess, for the Leeward Islands to think, because there's certainly a lot of time left in the day. And I know that in terms of the management team and the coaching staff, they would not be quite happy with how things went for them. Looking at a scorecard, that bowling card for the Windward Islands, well, I mentioned the standout Kiana Joseph, 5 wickets for her and a corner rate of 2.8. It certainly doesn't get much better than that. Probably would have had to take all 10 for a better day. But 2 wickets going to Glasgow and Etienne, and the other wicket for the skipper, Afi Fletcher. And those were the 10 that fell for the Leeward Islands. And then in terms of the batting, well, things got off to a wonderful start for them. The pair of Malika Edwards and Marcelin, well, they took things up to 49 before the fall of the first wicket. 31 to Edwards. She pretty much steered the ship towards the end. Marcelin, well, she fell just before things got over the line. She went for 12. And the skipper, Afi Fletcher, she brought things home with 11 not out. And Kimona Homer, she wasn't required to do much other than just stand at the other end and watch the proceedings come home. So an easy 8-wicket win in the end for the Windward Islands, and they will certainly be taking a lot of confidence into their round number 3 encounter. Work to be done for the Leeward Islands, but that's pretty much all that's here from Warner Park in St. Kitts and Nevis. Amanda Edwards, the only one to pick up wickets for the Leeward Islands, introduced quite late in the piece as well. Only after 12 overs she was introduced, but she's shown from the time she came to the fore, 2 for 10. And nothing to show for the other bowlers on display. Kimberly Anthony, Rosa Leibert, and Jenison Richards, the other 3 bowlers used for the Leeward Islands. So pretty much that's it for the end of the day. Anything before we go?
Just one question, Joel. What sort of structure is in place for female cricket in Barbados?
In terms of the structure that's in place, one thing I can speak to the fact that it was interesting to know that they have not had a camp or much prep work as a team far out as some of the other teams have had. What, in terms of Barbados, they've had is that they were playing in the men's tournament. So they were playing in what we consider back home as the T20 plate in Division 2 back home, and the women's team would have come together and been playing in that, and that has been a lot of their preparation leading into this competition. And then I had a chance to speak to the coaching unit in terms of Corey Collimer and Ryan Hines in terms of what were the other stuff behind the scenes, because as I mentioned, it wasn't a case that they had a camp leading in, and he said they did a lot of technical work leading into this tournament. So during the week it was a lot of one-on-ones, two-on-twos, and working on what we consider those fine skills. And he said that for them it's a case of, he knows that it's very hard to implement them very quickly, but over the course of the tournament they're going to look to see if a lot of that technical work that they put in comes into play. So in terms of the current structure, I can't speak to the overall structure, but I do know that in terms of what they've done leading into this tournament especially, is that they've been a part of the T20 competition back home, and the coaches, for the time they were brought in, were working a lot of the technical skills ahead of this competition.
Yes, the reason why I asked that is due to the fact that here in the Leewards, in terms of female cricket, we do not seem to have much in place, hardly anything in place. I think there were some trial matches which were played to select the team, but that was not like over a period of time. They probably, well, in fact, Gary was telling me that there was a Leeward Islands tournament for the female. I know some cricket was being played, but that was not something that was well advertised. But having said all of that, they certainly, in terms of development in the Leeward Islands, there's a lot to be done still. But the good thing is that they're very much involved in the tournament, and they were able to place a team in this tournament, because we know one of the demands of ICC cricket is that female cricket must be developed in the member territories. So it's important that all parties be involved here in the Caribbean. But nevertheless, we are hoping that the Leewards would improve. Good performance from the Windward Islands, and I guess you might have some final word to wrap up.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much it from us here at Warner Park. This game goes to the Windward Islands, and you guys can hop over to some of the other streams to take in action in the Siege United Women's Super 50 Cup.